Welcome, everybody, to Perpetual Backlog's Spoilercast and review of Final Fantasy 16. Um, I'm your host, Aqua, and joining me, like always, is Dalit.
Hey, here again this week.
Mm-hmm. And back by popular demand, and by popular demand, I mean he said hit me up for the 16 talk. Our resident camel, Zeke.
Greetings. Good to be back.
Yeah. All right, guys. We've had a long week playing one video game. Some of us played other video games during that. Mainly that being Zeke because he plays Hearthstone.
Yeah.
But we played Final Fantasy 16 over the week. All three of us have beaten it. We've gotten through beginning to end. I don't know if any of us have even started a new Game Plus run of it. I know I haven't.
I haven't either.
I have started it, but that feels cheating because I pressed the
Okay.
button. I haven't made any
Okay.
meaningful progression.
Okay. So pretty much how I'm gonna start this out is that we're gonna go around in a circle, and by circle I mean triangle because there's three of us. That we're gonna give our like number score for the game and a brief explanation of why we were giving this number, and yeah. I'll go first. All right. I've taken many showers after beating this game since I was the first one to beat it out of all of us. Whatever. And by many showers, I mean one a day. And I've thought long and hard, and I think my score for this game has to sit at a 7.5, which I know is a lot lower than some people might think or whatever. But I don't think a 7 or a 7.5 or anything between 7 and 8 is low. I think it's above average for me because that's kind of how I feel about this game. It's above average. It's got really good gameplay. Gameplay that could have been better if they added on a couple of extra things. But I think at its base, it's fun. It's reactive. It does make you think a bit for a little while. I think this is a good game, but the caveats to this game weigh it down a lot, in my opinion. And I don't know if that's me going to the game with the high expectations of the team behind it, since we're at least two of us are like super big like 14 fans. I don't know if it was that, or if in just general, the game is just kind of fundamentally flawed in that. But 7.5. I love this game, but I have issues a lot. We can go with Dalit next.
Hey guys, Final Fantasy 16, 8.5 easy. I think this is a very, very good game. I think some people will have issues fully calling it a Final Fantasy, and I think it is genuinely fair to say that this time. I mean, this comes up every time Final Fantasy does something new, but I think this is one of the first times that even I've kind of understood where that thought process comes from. I still think like the game itself, like if I'm giving the game a number rating, the game is fantastic in so many ways. Its combat it feels really good. I'm allowed to express myself in a bunch of different ways. The issues I have with the combat do not come from the combat, but from the difficulty, which we will get to. I enjoyed the characters, though that is super subjective, and I can absolutely see people not enjoying characters. We will be talking about that in a bit as well. And at least it finished its story. and I didn't need to watch an anime, a movie, and read a book to get what I needed out of it. I think its failings comes from a lot of little things that add up over time to make quite a big thing. And I think honestly, taking a point and a half off that is big. An 8.5 just comes because I don't want to rate this lower than I rate Zelda, because I think it's fundamentally a better game or fundamentally a better package.
All right, on to me.
Yep, on to
Yep.
you, Zeke.
All right. So I'm being maybe not critical enough with how I'm thinking about the game. I gave it an 8. I gave it a 7 out of 10. It started off as a 9, and I think the second half of the game for me bogs it down slightly. I liked the gameplay overall. I think that they did a phenomenal job with it. I do feel as though that small encounters with small enemies definitely weigh down the overall core feel of the game a lot, because it stops being fun after a while and just becomes more of like, how can I finish this fight as quickly as possible to get to something that's more enjoyable? It definitely does not stay coherent in terms of the gameplay, as I think boss fights are astonishingly better than almost anything else in the game. And most of the hunts are even better than some of the actual icon fights or bear fights, whatever there are. It just feels mismatched in that regard. Going past that, the story, I enjoyed the prologue. I do still wish there was like another hour of it to like give some more backstory and help set the world up a little bit more. I think the first half of the game with Sid is phenomenal. If it was just that half of the game and it stayed at that level of writing and pacing and characters, the game would probably be close to a 10 without question. But the second half of the game, especially anything dealing with Ultima, is 100% worse than all the other writing in the game. It bogs it down significantly. But overall, in terms of just Clive's story and how it concludes, I really enjoyed it and think that that is actually very well done. Overall, again, 7 out of 10. It's really solid, but the game peaks and valleys like on astronomical levels, like core of the earth to flying close to the sun. And I think that there are just little things that could have been done better to overall improve the experience.
You know, I listen to this and like Zeke gives it a lower score than I do or whatever, but I feel like he enjoyed the story more than I did.
Yeah, it's your it's skewed in really weird ways, because I would have thought Zeke's number would have been higher given what he said, and I thought your number would be. Well, no, your number actually makes
Yeah.
sense. My only
I'm-
issue with your number is that I think you have this game rated lower than Zelda, because I think you and I both agreed on like an 8. So
No,
that threw
no,
me
no.
off.
I've always said I think most Zeldas are always a 7 out of 10.
Okay, maybe so. That's just my poor memory. Fair enough.
Yeah, yeah.
I actually think Zelda. Okay, so I think comparing the two games is a little unfair.
Oh, 100%.
But
No,
if
like
I
this,
were, I would say that I think what this game does well is combat and most of the storytelling. Whereas Zelda, I actually think exploring the world and the world they created is really fucking interesting to just
Yeah.
walk through. And I
Yeah.
think that in that term, I'd probably score Zelda probably like an 8. Because I feel like they really paid attention to making the world feel like a unique experience to go through. And that's really fucking hard to do.
I'm not gonna disagree with you. I think
Now,
an 8 is correct
yeah.
for that as well.
Now, with that said, I'm rating what sounds really low, giving this a 7. I don't think that 7's bad. Like, to me, there are very few games I would call a 10.
No, of
And
course.
the only things that even come close to being a 10 in my mind are probably Metal Gear Solid 1 through 4. And I think
Oh
those are
my
all like as
goodness.
close to 10s, if not 10s, that a game can be.
Really, 4 for a 10? I don't know about
Hey
all
man,
that.
dude,
You know what's
four
interesting
four
about
was
4?
peak, man. 4
Hold
was
on.
peak.
4
Let
really
me hit you with
wasn't.
something. Let me hit you with something. Because I was thinking about this. You want to know what makes 4 so good? It's what this game should have done. It gave me autistically good storytelling.
No.
Kojima did
Hey,
not.
what? No.
What are you
So we're
talking
gonna.
about?
No,
Kojima's.
it puts a bunch of holes. It has so many holes in it if you've played the rest of the games.
I think it actually concludes everything out. But wait,
No,
hold on.
it does conclude it. This is true.
Hold on. We need to stop. We need to stop because we're
Sure,
gonna
sure,
talk
sure.
about that for like 2 hours.
Yeah. The side tangent,
Okay,
the side tangent.
so 16 as a whole, in terms of like storytelling, at least, I think we can start there. What did everybody think of like prologue into the first half of the game? Like, and let's say
Amazing
the first
game.
half is when Sid dies. That starts half the second half.
Amazing game. Absolutely phenomenal. Like,
Okay.
No arguments.
yeah, I had no issue from beginning to that point.
I'm
I don't
not
think I
even
had an
joking.
issue after that point, honestly, or that much after that point.
Okay, I'm not even joking though. I think if the game had ended with Sid dying, I would have given the game a 10. Like if it just ended there, even if it was like fucking half the game, I would have given it a 10 because I think it was just so much better in terms of pacing, characters, writing, everything.
Yeah. I agree, and even at the point where, like, because when Sid dies, that's when Ultima and all that stuff actually gets introduced.
Yeah, because it was there beforehand, but it was almost Kingdom Hearts like, where it was like, oh, what's going on? There's weird stuff in the background, which I hated, but it was so second. It was just so in the background compared to like the main story. It did not anger me as much.
I it's very it's very weird because I almost can't pinpoint the point in time in the story where I felt like the story was actually like dropping off, because I was still pretty interested even in the Ultima side of things after that point. And like if I had to like pick up like a point where the story kind of started like dipping for me, would probably be around the Bahamut and the Crystalline Dominion segment.
I think that's where it would be for me too. I think, well, since we're on this right now, can we all agree Bahamut, like that point in the story, is the low point, like the Bahamut fight overall?
Yes,
Like,
I would agree.
Yeah,
I think that is the lowest point. In the
I
whole
think it's the
game.
worst icon fight.
Hold on, because this is going to require some clarifying. Because I think if you just say that, someone is going to disagree with you.
Okay.
In terms of that, I mean, I know that my issues with the fight were it runs straight to the icon stuff, which I liked the build up to the icons with learning more about the individual characters and fighting them that way as well. But the fight is what I take most issue with. And it's going to make me sound like a hypocrite later on in this conversation, but this was so ridiculously over the top for being, I guess, just after the halfway point. Like realistically speaking, just after the halfway point.
He's basically the mid boss of the whole game.
Yeah, and this has like true final encounter levels of zaniness. Yeah, and spectacle. And it's not that I think that like you don't big up Bahamut. Bahamut's like one of the big Final Fantasy things, but like in general, there was still story to be told, especially in that section that was completely rushed past for the sake of getting to this fight.
Yeah, I think they fast tracked that segment like super.
And that is
hard.
that is my biggest issue with this section. Is this has a lot of the most interesting characters in regards to pushing the story forward on the human front.
Yep, because that's what I mean when I said the Bahamut section. Because I'm not talking just about the fight. I'm talking about like going into the city and like getting there. Even everything feels pacing is horrible.
And this is why I want a clarification, because if you say the Bahamut section, people are going to say, "Well, Bahamut is the fight."
Yeah, even just getting into the section where you meet Eloise and her brother, Eloise and her brother, or whatever. Like those two characters, I like Eloise and Theo. I like those characters, or whatever. But that whole segment was like felt very drawn out, and was just like, oh, we need you to waste time before getting into the Crystalline Dominion, and everything like that. which I guess would explain that we don't get there fast enough to maybe stop Dion from going berserk or whatever, like any like dumb shit like that.
Well,
But
I mean, even the story even sets it up that we were never going to be able to do that anyway. That was the B team's job. That was for Joshua
yeah,
and
and Yote,
Yote,
Yeah.
and they were late too. But that relates to a completely different happenstance.
yeah.
Or actually, I guess they
Um.
weren't late. They make it there. They have a
Oh yeah,
chapter
they
then.
make it. Yeah,
So
they make it there. Yeah,
despite, I
yeah.
take it back. Despite being there in time, it still happens. And I think the reason it happens isn't even terrible. I just
Yeah.
wish that we didn't jump to it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it feels rushed. It's poor storytelling. I don't think there's a better way to phrase it. I think that whole section, because I think it happens a couple times in the game.
I wouldn't call it poor
I
storytelling. I
don't.
would call it poor pacing, though. I would agree with
Yeah,
that.
pacing. Yeah, that's a better word. I don't like the structure of jumping backwards and forwards of events that are happening. It happened. This is going on. That's going on
I
without
absolutely agree with
reason,
this. Yes.
and that happens a lot in the game. I kind of don't like that at all. With that said, it I think the pacing there in the storytelling and the culmination of the fight just being an utter spectacle to ridiculous degrees, especially with the Ifrit Phoenix, fusion dance accidentally Gurren logging. Oh, I got stuck to your head, but now we're one unit. It's just
Yeah.
bad. And then you're fighting Bahamut on the edge of space, and it's like you're doing this to look cool, but like this doesn't look cool anymore.
I don't think looks is the issue there. For me, it's just a case of we have established that Clive can like take aspects of another one, but never in such a way as this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
So this comes out of the blue, and it is absolutely the setup for writing later on. But they'd done better jobs at setting up what Clive and what Ifrit means and what that power lends to him. And this is where I would say is poor writing because there was no reason to believe this was a thing. This was just there so that they could spring it on us later and have a revelation.
yeah,
Agreed.
but yeah.
Also, because it doesn't, I don't think the Bahamut fight works otherwise. Because I mean, this is what happens when something can fly. The terrestrial object just loses straight up.
The thing is, I think that they could have kept some of the spectacle without going that far, because at the end of the game, the Phoenix literally just picks it freed up by the shoulders and carries him around.
Yeah.
So like they
Guess
could
that's
have just
also
done it
true.
that way.
So okay, that's true, but Phoenix also wasn't fighting like that. Phoenix picked up Ifrit and then literally threw it at the end boss.
I mean, he could have done that there too. There were ways it would have been less of a spectacle. It would have toned the fight down a lot, which maybe they wanted to be this outlandish.
It's pretty
But
clear that's what they were aiming for.
I think that was a mistake, and I don't know a better way of putting it because I think it
Oh
is
no,
way too
I
much.
agree. I think for the point in the story that is ridiculous.
They definitely should have toned it back a little, and I think it would just help the story a lot there because it's one section of the game I'm not looking forward to like ever going through again at all.
I mean, the fight itself is fine for me. So I'll do that again.
It is,
Like
but I just don't like.
that
I
whole section is just down to writing for me.
Yeah, it's just I
Yeah.
don't want to re-experience it because it's just so. It's just poorly done.
Yeah.
But going on from that point, um, because I guess I mean we did kind of skip like an entire third
I'm
of the game.
surprised that you decided to skip the entire first
Yeah.
half of the game, but okay.
Yeah, yeah. Um, that's only because I was thinking of like when the actual like dropping point of this game was for me
Yeah,
was definitely that segment. Um, but everything before that I thought was pretty what I thought was like really good all the way up to the first person you fucking run into is fucking Jill, and you realize that she's so fucking dominant for Shiva, whatever, and then you immediately kill your fucking the guy you've probably been running with for years, or whatever, in the bastard squad, because you're not gonna kill Jill, because that's literally your wife, and then
Well, not even that. It was
and
just a redemptive action at that point.
yeah, well, and then And then immediately like fucking Clive's about to like get like smacked with some giant club or whatever, and Sid and Torgal come and save the day, which I mean
So
it's cool.
I want to talk about that because I'm pretty okay with convenient writing, right?
Yeah.
I'm so surprised to hear this, genuinely. 'Cause
I'm
this
okay.
Is, this
I'm
is what I
okay with
expected
it.
you to have an
I'm okay with it to
absolute
some
connection
degree
over.
because I think they give us a bullshit reason as to why it all plans out. Torgal and Sid showing up. I don't understand how Sid gets Torgal. It makes no sense other than found me a dog, kept me a dog. Cool guy. Jill being there kind of also just works well. But like, I'm assuming that they're justify all of this with Ultima fucking hand of God just moving on pieces around the map.
Maybe I at
Because
this
that's the
point
only
now
way
I
I
think
think
you're
that it
actually reading
justifies it.
too much into it.
I
I think this
probably
is
am.
just I think this is just
I'm giving it
happy.
benefit of the doubt because trying to set the story up like that, yeah, it's cheesy and dumb. But I think it's the only way that they could have brought the characters together in like a semi-normal way without dragging it out super long.
And I think
Well, I think
that's all it came down to. I think you're reading too much into it. I think it's just a case of we want to get the core members of the party together as immediately as possible.
Yeah.
But we have openly stated that there's been a decade plus long time gap. How can we do this effectively? Dominance exists. Jill was always going to be a dominant. We face her off with another one, doesn't matter which one.
Yep.
Clive is there because he's the main character. Sorted. We're going to introduce Sid because Sid is there for the dominant. Sorted. Torgal is the only thing that's a little bit problematic, and honestly, I think this is something you just kind of whatever on.
they
Sid,
actually
Sid does say
they,
later on he fucking loves wolves. So
that well
Yeah.
they also did state the reason why Torgal's technically there anyway. It goes along with what Torgal actually is or whatever, is that it's not that he's attracted to being around dominance or whatever, but he's like his lore is that he's always around a dominant or whatever, because it's either supposed to be Shiva or whatever, uh who is the one that he's supposed to be attached to or whatever. Can't be attached to Shiva, can't be attached to the person that actually owns him or whatever. There's only one other character in the entire world that's a dominant would be good enough to keep a dog, and that would be Sid.
Yeah.
sure. I mean,
But
I'm
it's
not.
just
The
really
thing is for me
convenient how
is
he's there.
I don't understand why we're looking for a reason. I don't think this is a
Yeah.
Yeah,
problem
no.
to begin
I'm
with.
just saying, I'll give it a pass because I don't mind this if the rest of the story, if it glosses over bullshit and then the rest of the story is really good.
Mhm.
I don't see a reason to question it because it
Yeah.
just sets up the story.
Just so,
I-
just so.
It's totally fine.
I mean, and then going from there, obviously Sid's gonna try recruiting him. Doesn't actually successfully do it or whatever, but Sid helps him out in looking for the person that killed his brother. Doesn't actually find the person that kills his brother, but we end up killing fucking Benedicta along the way. Which, I mean, I don't know about you, Zeke, but Dal and I farmed the hell out of Benedicta in the demo.
Sure
So
did.
I did not, but I still find the fight overall, like Benedicta and Garuda both, I actually think were really fun boss fights.
yeah,
I think her
love
character
them
was.
too.
This is what I'm talking about. I think the first half of the game actually makes the second half look worse because Benedicta's character was not super well explored, but she becomes established. You have an idea of who she is as a person, her motivations and goals really clearly. Like they flesh out her character well enough that you understand who she is,
Yeah.
right? And I'm not going to jump into that, but just saying, I think that is really well done, and I think that the first half of the game's character writing is just better than the second half. I'll bring that up when we get there, but yeah, I liked it.
Well, we kill Benedicta along the way. Those fights were really fun. I actually kind of miss fighting, because I think Garuda's the only one we actually sit there and fight as Clive. Am I right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Odin's kind of one, but we don't actually fight Odin.
That is the one that
as
I was
Clive.
thinking of, but it's not
Yeah.
the same.
Definitely not the
Yeah.
same.
But Benedict, Garuda's the only one we actually fight as Clive, which I thought.
Yeah,
which
she plays a bit of cat and mouse.
Yeah.
Everyone
Well,
else was
we-
too busy trying to actively kill us.
Yeah.
I think that plays into like the icons, like
Yes,
self, though.
Garuda's a fucking batshit
Yeah.
harpy. You are correct.
Yeah.
And Benedicta wasn't in control at that time, so.
Yeah.
Well, none
So
of
we
them
do
are when we fight them, with the exception of, and even that's except for Thorm, and that's up to debate as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Matter of fact,
actually,
the only icon that fights us in full faculties of their brain is Sid,
yeah. And we don't actually fight Sid, so.
and it's a one shot.
Yeah. And then we move on. Jill wakes up from being, from recovery and everything. We go to Phoenix Gate because Clive needs to know what happened in the beginning of the game with like who killed his brother, because Clive turns into Ifrit during the Garuda fight, and he's like, oh my god, am I the person that killed my brother? Yeah, am I actually the bad guy here? Spoiler, obviously, he is. He's 100% the one that murders his brother in the beginning.
Yep. So this is a point at the start of the game where I started to dislike aspects of the story, and I knew it was going to go downhill, unironically. Because the hooded man, the One Piece hoodie cloak thing that they started at Organization 13.
Wait, you're throwing around a lot of like metaphors, what?
Okay, no, I'm not joking. The exact that One Piece hoodie cloak that the Organization 13 members wore, right? It's basically in brown, but it's what Joshua or the hooded man.
I thought you were trying to somehow smash the manga One Piece. Got it.
No. I mean like the onesie hoodie.
Got it. Yes.
Yes. Okay. I fucking hate that design because I associate it with bad writing because of Kingdom Hearts. I'm not joking.
Yeah, sure.
And the moment it showed up in this game, I thought that anything associated with it was going to be poorly written. And seeing as how it's Ultima's whole fucking spiel, I think I fucking hit the nail on the head.
Yeah,
Same goes with it being Joshua. I don't know why he didn't reveal the fact that he's around to Clive sooner. Like, because the moment that he sees him, he's like, "Oh fuck yeah, brother, I missed you," and they're besties again. But like up until that moment, it's like, "Oh, can't tell Clive I'm around."
True.
Like, he even knows
I never
around.
did. I never did actually understand that.
And there's like no resolution to why he was doing that.
There absolutely is. Joshua was busy and he was doing things different to Clive. And if he stops for Clive, either he has to start doing stuff that Clive is doing, or Clive has to start doing things that he was doing, and he wasn't willing to have that happen yet.
So here's the issue with that, Dalit, all right? If Ultima is the end goal of the game or whatever, and you have information that includes your brother as possibly the reason for what's going on or whatever, you absolutely stop what you're doing and go talk to your brother about it. You don't just let
think
shit.
He had that information until
he knew Ultima existed,
and that's it. This is important. He knew Ultima existed. The whole reason he didn't table with Clive is because he's specifically looking for information for Ultima, and once he does figure that out and recognize
he still doesn't go to his brother. He still doesn't go to his brother.
Sure,
he just happens to be in the same fucking area.
Fantastic. But my point is, the one time he saw him, which is the only part I'm arguing about, back at Phoenix Gate, wasn't ready for it then. I do not find this to be bad writing.
Joshua wasn't even at Phoenix Gate.
Well,
that wasn't even Joshua. That wasn't Joshua at Phoenix Gate. That wasn't Joshua.
He sees him and leaves. He's absolutely at Phoenix Gate.
Oh well, no, he's on a cliff like way above Phoenix Gate.
No, he's on the ramparts at Phoenix Gate. If he had kicked a rock, Clive would have turned around and gone, "Oh shit, there's someone there."
Like Torgal could probably smell him levels of close.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll take that as
like,
fine. I
Do not
personally-
attribute to malice. We could just be attributed
Okay.
to
Oh,
something
okay.
else.
No. But all right. Then here's the other thing. All right. The moment that Joshua gets the hint that Ultima is doing something with his brother, which is the point of the game where Sid dies or whatever,
Correct.
because
Correct.
Joshua's there. That there's a 5-year time skip after that.
Yes.
Joshua didn't contact his brother once during
True.
that, and that's bad.
I mean,
I
yeah,
feel
it's
like-
not great, but I don't think it's
I
terrible.
feel like with how they instantly click and kind of like just going back to just being happy that the other's alive, I genuinely think that they could have done it sooner. And it was just kept up art to keep him out of the party.
Also agreed. I don't think that these two have to be mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
I don't think that because they could have done it sooner has to mean bad writing.
I'm not saying that's bad writing. I'm just saying I personally don't like it.
Oh no, and that's fine.
Bad writing I'm specifically saying is not about Joshua necessarily. It is 100%
It's not
about
Ultima.
Ultima.
No, and that I can't argue with, because you end up being, in my opinion, fairly right. I just don't think you dragged
where
Joshua into this.
Clive's battle with himself, I think, is cool, but it kind of starts the decline of, oh god, there's some weird Kingdom Hearts shit going on in the background, which is how I feel Ultima is, honestly. And that's probably not even the best way to describe it. I'm just saying I think it's really poorly written in terms of a character. I think what brings it down so much for Ultima is the fact the rest of the game is actually really, really well written with its characters and villains, even if they're not fleshed out super well.
Yeah,
They at least have. Go on.
I was saying, like, I think the main story of us going to destroy the Mother Crystals, which what Sid wants to do. I think if they would have kept that like an actual like meaningful goal or whatever, for the game, it would have felt a lot better or whatever.
Yeah.
And not turn into this was Ultima's plan all along, for us to destroy the crystals.
Honestly, I think we're dwelling too much on the first half of the game, because I think all three of us can just agree the first half of the game is damn near perfect.
Yes.
I think we should...
Except,
okay.
I'm happy we had this chat, because like last night, I don't think Ultima's that bad. But again, that's all second half anyway. So
yeah, so let's start at destroying the first crystal and Sid dying, because that's like the transitional point. I like the fight. I don't even mind Ultima showing up there. I think at this point it could be interesting.
I didn't understand what Typhon. I didn't even understand what Typhon was, honestly.
That I will give you. I have no idea what Typhon was supposed to be.
I thought it was supposed to be fucking Typhoonus at first, but that didn't make sense, because I was thinking, okay, maybe there are two of every. Like there are, it's two for fire. Maybe there are two for wind. But then it's not.
Fair. I never thought about that. I just assumed every crystal
but it's not.
I thought every crystal had like a secondary guardian. Like once you broke, you'd have to fight one of these beasts after everyone, and that also ends up not being the case. So while it's fine in this particular one, because we're still ignorant at that point, Typhon existing makes cracking every other crystal really weird.
No sense at all.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. But beyond that, starting off into chapter 2, I like the transition, honestly. I like the idea of him taking on the mantle of Sid. I like that it's still showing that they're trying to do the same things. I find it weird that after 5 years, they haven't been able to destroy another crystal, and there's been basically no progress made.
It should be noted that is explained. We skipped over something kind of important in between Sid dying and Clive becoming Sid.
I was actually about to come up on that, because the hideout being destroyed.
Just so.
So, this is one of those things I fucking hate. I get Sid was trying to build Outer Haven, right? And, he's doing a great job of that. I really hate the fact that all the characters live, except for maybe a few side quest givers.
Sure.
Because I genuinely thought, oh wow, that's pretty impactful. Everyone dies. No, literally everybody that has any voice dialogue just carries over into the next zone.
True.
So even despite them saying that like a bunch of people died, it's
It's
Felt like nobody
unimpactful.
died.
it
Felt
doesn't
like
feel
nobody
yeah,
died.
it feels lesser because everyone that we were interacting with anyway managed to
Yeah.
come through. Okay.
It would have been way more interesting if, let's say, I don't remember her name, the old woman that runs the shop.
Karen?
Yeah, if
Karen.
she died and then Groot's had to take over, that would have been an interesting plot point.
Oh man, if Karen died, you're missing a lot of really good writing at the back half though.
Yeah, but I think it would be more impactful to have at least someone have died. Other than
I
Sid.
mean,
Sid is the only
sure.
person from the hideout that actually died that night, and he wasn't even there.
Sure.
And that
Yeah.
it feels like it's not even plot armor. It's like they have max protect on. They're holding a shield and somebody's body blocking for them.
I mean, that's fine if you accept if you do actually believe that no one died. I don't think that's necessarily
No,
fair.
I do know people died, but it's like they were
So
all B-list
so
characters.
think about
'Cause
this from a writer's standpoint, and like I feel like this makes a lot of sense. A lot of people die. The hideout population is slashed in half, but the important guys get to stay because they have more shit to do.
But here's the thing, all right? And I don't want to just say just kill people to kill people. The start of the game, they introduce you to like a bunch of people, and they all
Sure.
die. And
Yeah,
they did a really good job of conveying that these were cool people and giving them stories and interacting with them. You don't get that the second time a bunch of people die. I feel like it cheapens the what happens. Because like everybody's sad about people in the hideout now. I'm like, yeah, nameless NPC 37. I fucking miss that
Whoa.
guy.
Whoa. The guy that gave you your first quest died. All right. He's not in the second hideaway. He's not the one that controls the tavern area, because it's now a bunch of like a couple of women
it's
that
Maeve's.
run it.
It's Maeve's
Yeah.
tavern now.
Yeah.
I mean, people did die, but
That's
it's
the
not,
only one I remember. That's the only one I remember that dies.
yeah, it doesn't feel impactful. Like,
I mean, I think you have to chalk that up to a personal thing though, because they make a point of like telling you that a bunch of fucking people died. A lot
There's-
of the second half side quests literally revolve around I've taken over from the person who did this
Yeah.
before me. Like I don't know that just because the core cast didn't die that makes it a bad thing. And to your credit, I think yeah, Karen is the one that could have gone.
I also think Taja could have died too. Like they could have killed someone to have like
You would
an
kill the white
impact.
mage.
Yeah, that would be really impactful.
Yeah, because then
There's no healing.
well, more importantly, that she was the one doing the brand removing.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like
That
there's a
well, no, you don't understand. That means the hideaway no longer works.
exactly. They'd have to like do something. It would explain why things have slowed down so much because they had to find someone else that was capable of doing stuff. That's why I feel like so weird. Like we had to rebuild the hideout. It took 5 years, but all the important people that were the cogs that kept the machine moving didn't die.
True.
Sure, but I mean, there's the mourning period. There's literally having to rebuild. There's the
Yeah.
fact that there's a new Sid, so they're not getting the same people back because people
Yeah.
didn't trust Clive.
Yeah, I do think that it's not poorly paced. I just wish it was expanded upon.
But
Because
I
like
mean,
what we're
so
talking
yes,
about,
I
yes, that
agree
makes
with you.
sense.
I
Yeah.
agree with you, but the answer to your issue is there.
No, it's
Like this,
it's
this
not.
is very much a
no,
case of I don't like this.
No,
not
no,
is bad.
I'm not
I-
saying that it's bad. I just wish that okay, the game sits you down and has really long cutscenes and good storytelling.
Sure,
Why take the shortcuts of going, oh well, this you just have to figure out that this is how things are happening instead of just giving us a little bit more time with the story.
because it wants you to play the game.
That doesn't matter. I think
What?
that argument is stupid because literally, I think that the beginning of the game suffers from the same reason. Give me another hour of like some exposition, and I think it'd be more interesting. I think if I had maybe another 20 minutes of them working together and setting stuff back up, it'd be more interesting. I think that those lines, you could just take a few more minutes because it doesn't even have to be a long time. And you could just fluff it out a little bit more, and I think it would help the world building a lot.
But then you really are just interacting, and we'll get to this. Is a conversation that we can get to in the next couple minutes. But then you really are just interacting with the same four people.
That's
Because
true,
all of your answers come from
but that's
the
fine.
secondary cast.
I want more interactions with secondary cast. I
But
want that.
what I'm saying is, if like all
you're
those
saying that-
answers come from the secondary cast that you do not want to interact in those movies, like these answers are here. You just have to go play the game and do the side quests to get them.
But I think you could have just incorporated them better, because I think that the narrative of them coming up later after things are said and done is like, oh yes, this is happening because of that thing, instead of just showing you, hey, shit's fucked up, I need your help with it, is better.
Oh, if you're saying we should have played through those 5 years, I agree with you.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I think you could have interspersed some things, like maybe 1 year after, 2 years
But
after,
yeah,
in like
but
a
this
quick
goes
sequence.
this goes back to the thing that we definitely all agree on. This game's pacing goes right out the window.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm
yeah.
saying. I think pacing for this is poorly done. And I think that translates into things feeling more off.
Yeah,
At least
the pacing of the first half is like really good, but then it just kind of, then you get a 5-year time skip. You're like, what the hell happened in these 5 years?
Yeah, and the
You
answers
don't
are there.
fully know. You don't fully know, but like it doesn't
I'm-
act like very
It doesn't
accurately
straight up
explain to
tell
you.
Yeah. And I'm fine with more passive storytelling of, doing actions and kind of like fills in gaps. But also, I am okay with the Metal Gear side of storytelling. And it's prevalent all. I'm just gonna say 2, 3, and 4. Okay, 4 it's probably the most extreme.
Oh, the exposition dump.
I'm just gonna put it like this: in 2 and 3, I don't care about having a 15-minute conversation between two characters because it's really interesting with what they're talking about. And then, the gameplay starts back up. I am fine with that. And I wish this game did more of that, because I think the writing is high enough quality to have supported that, but they chose to not do it. And I think that was a bad choice, because I think that they could have done that. They could have just given more and more story. And without question, I would not have ever been upset by it. I just wish this game gave me more. And I know that's really weird to say of a game that probably has like 100 hours of cutscenes. I wish there was more.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. Is I so many people are asking for the direct opposite of that.
I feel like they're asking for the direct opposite of that because they don't care about the side stories. Like, they don't care.
Which is fair, but I think that if they had to sit through like 10 hours more of cutscenes, that would also drive them insane. I think a lot of people just want to play the game.
I agree
That's the words they use.
I mean, I agree with that, but which Final Fantasy have you played where there's not a shit ton of exposition? What good written game have you not played where there's a shit ton of exposition and talking?
The Souls games.
But they don't do storytelling the same way.
I agree with you, but that wasn't the question you asked.
Yes, but that's not the same style of writing.
What Final Fantasy that doesn't do a shit ton of exposition and storytelling? I know. The question, the correct thing would be which Final Fantasy, because
I wouldn't say which Final Fantasy, because I think, again, I think Final Fantasy, even Tales games and Metal Gear.
Trails games does it too. Shit.
Yeah, I think that if you're going to sit me down,
Xenoblade.
If you're going to sit me down and tell me a story, don't cut corners on it. I want to hear your fucking story, and I don't care about necessarily the side quest stories, because not all of them are very well written. Some of them are pretty bullshit.
100%.
Yeah.
And I wish they had just funneled that into the main story, because the main story is interesting. The main story on its own, if you cut out all the side quests, would still be interesting, without question. And I think that if they had pumped it up to explain more of what's going on in the world overall during those 5 years, how things are like changing for you around the hideout and everything, the new hideout, getting everything built up, it'd be better than being like just showing up and yes, I remember when we planted this garden, or those boards, we gotta replace them. They've been here for 5 years now. Things like that. I feel like it cheapens the experience that they were setting up to deliver. And I wish that they had just gone really hard into just...
It does kind of feel, though, that you just wanted a movie.
No. If you're going to sell me a game with 100 hours of cutscenes, which I think this game does have 100 hours, I might be over.
No, it's 11. It's 11 hours of cutscenes.
Yeah, okay. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm joking. You know what I mean.
Yeah, exaggerating 11.
11 hours. 11 hours of cutscenes is still longer than any movie you could sit down and watch.
Oh, sure.
You can't beat this game in one session by just sitting down playing. I mean, you could, but the average human isn't. Okay? It'd be better if they just went harder on adding more to the world and making the world more enjoyable and interesting. Because the gameplay already is perfect, like damn near perfect in terms of gameplay.
I mean, so here's the thing, and I think this comes down just to how we approach things. I'm gonna base my stuff on what's there. And whilst we can talk about things that we want, sure, um, like realistically, with the weight of the storytelling and how good it is and how it shifts, clearly something happened, and they could not do that.
That's
Like the idea
Yeah.
that they purposely decided not to tell those stories in the main story because it was able to be told in side stories that I think are fine. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying all side quests are. They're not. I think you could literally cut out 50% of these side quests.
Yeah.
Nothing changes, and frankly, it's just less bloat on the game.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying is I wish there was less bloat around the edges and they just pump more into the main story. Because I think I would enjoy the second half of the game's main story more if it was just more there. Because that's when
Like I think I'm just getting hung up on what you're saying because it just sounds like
What?
it
Yeah,
sounds like you just don't like what
I,
is
I
there.
I have a middle ground here. They could have just made better side quests.
that probably would have just been the solution to the problem.
Yeah, there's a solution. That they have good side quests there. They have some
They
good
do.
side quests there.
I know
But
how to phrase this though.
for every 2 good side quests, there's like
5 bad
7,
ones, absolutely.
yeah, 5 bad ones. Yeah.
Have you ever I'll use the food analogy. Let's go full Reddit mode here. Have you ever eaten something like a piece of chocolate and you're like, God damn, that was good. I wish I had a little bit more, but there's no
Yeah, of
more
course.
chocolate. That's how I feel about the story. I fucking loved what they had going, but it wasn't enough. I wish there was just more in the main context because I think the way the main story is delivered is leaps and bounds better than how side story stuff is delivered.
Oh yeah, no, that's
That's what I'm trying to
unquestionably
say.
okay. Yeah, then I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah, I think if they had devoted more into that, it would be better because it just feels higher quality.
Yeah,
Because
because I
even
know
the
the side
well-written side stories feel B-list compared to the
they
main
do.
story.
Yes, that is absolutely true. The same care is not there. They become bog standard, same side quests you find in every other game.
Yep. And that's my problem with it. And
Um
I think that right there, like that, everything we just talked about is like where the game starts going kind of sideways. Because from there into so the Kupka fight happens before Bahamut, right? Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I think everything leading. So I'm getting way ahead of myself actually because Jill's arc plays out first, right?
How do you mean?
Her story arc of going there and killing that crystal.
Going
I
to
think that
yeah.
okay, I like that. I actually think that was really well written, and I think Kupka, like his whole thing and his fight, were insanely good.
Yeah.
Um.
Actually, I have a question.
Okay.
All right. I don't know if I glossed over this when I was playing the game. Who the fuck sent Kupka Benedictus head?
Ultima.
Ultima. Or
Okay.
no, I would go so far to say, and this is a cop out because the answer is Ultima. Barnabas.
I mean, it's still Ultima.
Yeah.
I actually don't think either of those.
All right.
Oh.
Well,
okay.
actually, I do think Ultima, but it's not Ultima through Barnabas. It's Ultima through Oliver or Olivier.
Who?
Because Olivier,
kid?
the other kid, because he is there with
Your timing is wrong.
No, the
Your
timing's
timing's wrong.
exactly right because the
The
cutscene happens right after that.
No, fucking Olivier's. Oh no, I take it back. I'm sorry. I'm. There's too many time jumps. I was like, there was 5
Yeah.
years before we see Olivier, but he's already born by that. No, because when we see Olivier, he's what 10 years old.
If that.
It couldn't have been him. He'd be 5 years old.
But Olivier isn't a human being.
Yes, but he has
that
to
means it's
appear.
just Ultima.
He has to appear that way for everyone else.
It's literally just Ultima. It doesn't matter.
Sylvester doesn't think anything is wrong.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying all he has to do is put the head in the area. He doesn't have to actually deliver it himself.
Sure, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we all think it's
Ultima.
Ultima
Yeah.
puts this into consideration. I just think it was Barnabas because Barnabas was fucking playing everyone until we learned that he
No,
was just a
I don't
puppet
think it
as well.
matters who did it. I think the whole thing is it's Ultima set it up.
Yes, absolutely.
Like that's
If
all that
Ultima
matters.
wants-
It's just Ultima's plan. Ultima did it. Just leave it at
I-
that.
if you're
I was-
wondering
I'm-
how anyone gets to fight Clive,
Yeah,
the
yeah, it's
answer
Ultima, yeah, it's
is
Ultima.
Ultima.
Yeah, but like my only question is that because like Clive never questioned the whole.
He
reason.
doesn't know. As far as I know, he
I know,
actually
I know.
doesn't know.
But Kupka
It's
literally tells him that, you know, like literally when he's like freaking out or whatever, that he, you know, he's saying that he, like Clive doesn't question it. He's just like,
No,
all right,
he
well.
doesn't.
The reason is because they had a moment of very realistic writing. Kupka got a head in the box. He does not clarify anything to Clive. Clive hears this and goes, I mean, Sid's kind of a dickhead.
No,
He might have
no,
done that,
no.
but
Kupka never.
I'm the one who
Kupka
killed
never
her
said
anyway.
he got a head in a box.
No,
Kupka never
what-
said that.
Clive thinks he's pissed off because Kupka knows we killed her.
Yes, and,
Yeah.
and
He doesn't need to know about the head. He thinks Kupka's
Sure.
angry because we killed her. That's all
Thank
that
you.
matters
And
to him.
that was what I was getting to. It's like the head is not the important part. The important part is that Clive knows Benedicta is dead. Kupka is angry about that. I'll be honest, I did think he knew about the box. And Clive's like, it doesn't matter. Fucking I killed Benedicta. And so at that point, the fight happens.
Mm-hmm.
So the only important factors end up being through a giant misunderstanding, they get to the correct answer anyway.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which honestly, I think that section right there is like, again, we're peeking into like it's really good because I think the way Clive and Kupka interact,
Mm-hmm.
and right up until the end of that fight, like 10 out of 10, really good. I think the way they interact with each other, the way they're speaking, everything is super good. I think the fight is really good. It's perfectly paced, perfectly set up, good. Like
Is this the first or second fight you're talking about here?
the first one because it's Kupka, not
yeah.
Titan.
Yes.
Okay.
I think we have to like definitely say the difference because
Yeah.
Benedicta and Garuda are also two separate fights.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they don't happen back to back.
But I liked it. I think the whole Kupka arc is really, really well done.
Mm-hmm.
I think going into actually go fight him as like finish the job is also really, really well done and really well written. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're coming up to the Titan fight. Who liked the Titan fight, boys?
I as soon as the Titan
Please,
fight, as
please
soon
tell
as
me
the,
it's all of us. I thought it was
Yeah,
dope as shit.
as soon as the music started, I was like, I see you, Soken. I understand that you're just remixing the the other Titan fight in 14 again.
I unironically, I think it's another high point of the game. I
Yeah.
love it. It's definitely over the top, but it's
It
over
is,
the top
yeah.
in a way that I think is still good.
Yeah, I'm trying to
was-
figure out why I'm super okay with Titan and Titan Lost, but I really did not like Bahamut.
You want to
And I
know
think
why?
It's because of the establishment.
It's
of the
grounded.
character. No, I think it's just all the character work that went into Kupka versus Clive.
Yeah.
Because we
Yeah.
don't get any. Dion has
That's what
nothing
I
to
mean.
do with Clive.
Yeah, that's what I mean when I say it's grounded. Like it feels like it's a culmination of something happening. Like we have a reason for this being here.
Well, there's a reason for the Bahamut fight. I just don't think.
Yeah, it just doesn't work.
Well, no. I think it works just fine. It just is less. It's less.
It doesn't
personal.
work in a way of being it motivating. Like I don't
Yes.
feel like fighting him even serves a purpose. I don't feel like him rampaging other than like, oh, he lost his mind. It feels corny.
Yeah, again, this is like where we're going to disagree because I think I fundamentally just don't hate the writing as much. But like, it's all justified. And we did speak about this before. It's justified, but that doesn't make it good.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Because like, the reason I feel like I'm being kind of harsh on this is because I think the bulk of the game's writing is so good. Like it's so good. It reaches such high peaks, and when it hits the lows, it just makes it feel so much worse.
Mhm.
And I think that's a low point for the writing is getting into that fight and how it's all set up and told.
I just wish it was more personal because
Yeah.
it's all based around Annabella, Sylvester, and Olivier, and it has nothing to do with Clive. Matter of fact, the only reason Clive gets involved with Bahamut is because he's chasing Joshua. Because Joshua does have investment in that, because he was there specifically to stop this from happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
Again,
we did kind of gloss over the whole
The whole
Jill.
Titan.
Well,
Yeah.
no.
Oh, yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
we
yeah,
we
sorry.
kind of glossed over Jill and going to the Iron Kingdom or whatever.
I don't have much to say about that, honestly.
Look, honestly, that doesn't impact the story past Jill, and it's such good individual writing for Jill.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, it's good.
Um,
Like that whole section, I think we all just agreed on it. It's just really well done. It's what I think the story succeeds at the most is when it's not being this weird Ultimas in the shadows plotting to make you fucking pre-ejaculate to women to give you a fucking horrible ego and you fucking start freaking out kind of bullshit. Trying to break your will to live, like bullshit. I think it's really interesting. Like I think the character writing, it's what I was saying before. I wish there was just more character writing and more of it because what's there is so fucking good. I just want more. And Jill's whole not side quest, Jill's whole story arc through that, perfect. I have no complaints. Nothing more I want from it.
It is a solid mirror of Clive, only handled somehow even better because it makes sense why Jill is so fucking angry to like literally Brave potentially dying.
Yeah.
Which I had a fear of for a little bit. I had a fear throughout this entire game. I was like, please don't kill Jill. Please don't kill Jill.
Oh, it's weird.
Please don't kill Jill.
I never feared for her. I feared for a lot of other characters. Until the very end, I didn't feel fear for her. And then, she gets stripped of her powers, and it's like, oh, you're just immortal now. Oh, God.
No, I mean...
But during this point, can you imagine how you would feel if she gets up to the end, even if she does get her revenge and just dies on that fucking island?
Well, no, okay. So I felt like she could have died on the island or whatever, because I felt I felt it or whatever. But after that point, because obviously when we know, I don't like going through this game. I had no idea where I was at the entirety of the game. All right, so when we got Sid's powers before Titan's powers or whatever, that it kind of threw me for a loop because I was like, oh, okay, I didn't think we were gonna get Sid. We were gonna get Ramu.
Yeah,
before?
Quick aside, I genuinely can't believe they killed Sid that early. Yeah. Please continue because that's something I will just keep going on for a long time. I genuinely can't believe they killed him that early.
Up to that point of the Iron Kingdom, I was like, oh no, they could fuck me over here. And they didn't, thank God. All right, and I like the explanation of why we go to the Iron Kingdom first or whatever, is because these two fuck off nations are fucking with each other, which leaves us open to go do this over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after
genuinely just Jill saying, I want that fucking revenge. I want to have what you just got, Clive. I think that honestly would have been fair enough for me as well. But the world building around it also is really cool.
Yeah. And then we go and do the Titan Lost fight in particular or whatever. That was when I was like trying to actually like pinpoint, all right, what sections of the game were Platinum and the Osaka team for Kingdom Hearts working on, because I was telling Zeke like after I'd gotten through it, I was like, wow, there's like a lot of bits of Kingdom Hearts that I'm actually like, not storytelling wise, but like actually like gameplay wise.
For Titan Lost.
Yeah, for Titan Lost. Yeah, because his tentacles.
I attributed it to Bahamut and the final boss.
That's what I attribute it to.
So
because I feel like that's Platinum.
For the only person here that has played Kingdom Hearts 3.
No. Did you? We have played Kingdom Hearts 3.
Well, Zeke hasn't.
So you and me is what.
All right. Yeah. Titan's tentacles are just Heartless Swarm.
But it's also Raiden running up the stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say it's literally.
It might be an anime trope we're not aware of, honestly.
Honestly, I don't watch enough. That is fair.
And then I was saying throughout the entire time, and I was like, God damn, man, 14 Titan fans are eating good in this game or whatever, because this fight was a fight you could have immediately translated into 14 or whatever, and like they just took like fucking 14 Titan and just translated into that. That's what it felt like. Down to even the worst part about the Titan fight was the rail shooting in Little Titan inside of Big Titan.
Awful. I don't like the rail shooting in this game. I think it's a really easy fix. Zeke, this is your point. I will let you make it.
Yep, you should never aim with the left analog stick. It is so stupid. In fact, the rail shooting would be even better if you just double analog sticked it and it was just like a Toho clone.
Correct.
It would just feel so much better. I don't know if that's like some weird limitation on the engine, because I don't know, because it makes no sense to me. Like, the way it's set up just makes no sense to me.
You're not doing anything else with the right analog stick in
That's why I think
during that
I
part
almost
anyway.
think
So
that it's like an engine limitation or something.
Yeah,
Because,
because
like, I
it
don't
doesn't make
know.
sense.
Kingdom Hearts never did it, I don't think. Or is that how Gummy Ship battles?
No,
No,
the gummy ship is the gummy ship.
double
I
analog
don't
stick.
like it.
yeah,
Is
the
fine.
gummy,
though.
the
Yeah,
gummy
it's
ship is
double analog
twin
stick.
stick. Yeah, it's double analog. Yeah.
So literally none of the companies that have worked on this before have done that. And I don't know how, if that section was done by the in-house team, how the dude that made DMC would think that would be okay either. So I don't know. I don't know who dropped the ball on that, but goddamn, it's just bad.
that was probably the worst part of that fight, but
I
everything
think
else was like,
I think in terms of combat, that is actually the worst part of the whole game.
This is Titan falling at you.
well,
Yeah,
The rail shooting.
Well, he's
Yeah.
a rail shooting aspect of the
Yeah,
game, not
I
the.
think anytime you have to rail shoot is actually just the worst part of the whole game.
Oh yeah, no, I'll agree. It's my least favorite aspect of actually playing this game.
But that's great. We do like the 12 billion damage attack against Titan loss.
It's dumb, but I love it.
It's great. Fucking Kupka's dead after that because I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, it's gonna be really hard to survive that.
Hey guys, don't forget to sub to the channel if you're into what you're hearing. While you're down there, remember to like the video as much as we like you. You'll be good now.
And then we move on to, I guess, yeah. I mean, like we've already talked about it. Like the worst part of this, the actual like worst part of storytelling of the game is the Bahamut section, and that's where like Dalit and we've stated this before. I really wish we would have gotten there earlier, or we would have had any like
100%.
weird playable segment of this section, because going straight into fighting Bahamut instead of fighting primed like semi primed fucking Dion or whatever was it's definitely not the move, because we some of the best fights in this game are against Dragoons, and what is Dion? A fucking Dragoon. All right, that would have been really cool to fight a semi-primed fucking Bahamut Dragoon.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge missed opportunity, honestly.
From a writing standpoint, this actually the biggest flaw, the biggest way to say this is actually nothing that could be done in the game. They would have had to have had a second playable character in Joshua. Adult Joshua would have had to have been playable for us to get the story.
So I'm gonna just pitch this idea. Even though I know it's not possible, it's probably not even reasonable to say this. You both played Chain of Memories, right?
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
Remember how at the end of Chain of Memories, you unlock Riku's whole fucking playthrough?
yes.
Oh yeah.
It would have been perfectly fine to just cut out all of Joshua's stuff from the main story. You replay it, and then you get the game from Joshua's perspective.
Yeah, I'd have been fine with that.
Yeah, that'd be
I wouldn't even
pretty
care if
good,
it's like just
actually.
an hour or two long game. It would have been so cool.
Yeah, definitely. Like just like genuinely make it.
And I
much
thought they were
shorter.
going to do that because they set it up with you playing as him at one point for like a brief section. I'm like, okay, that's going to be really cool. And then they do nothing with it. Which just makes that whole section where you play as him just really weird.
The only time you ever control him in any other aspect after that is when you're controlling the Phoenix.
Yeah. Because of what they said and how adamant they were that Clive is like the main, the only. Well, I don't know if they ever said the only, but like he is the playable character. You will not control your party members. I was like, all right, I recognize I am playing as Joshua in this demo. I do not foresee this happening to any other character. And admittedly, I didn't foresee during the demo Joshua coming back. I did like the moment we got to the real game, but I had already had like a week, 2 weeks to realize we never saw a body, so he's clearly alive. But no, I didn't think we were actually gonna play as him. Though I think you're right. I would have loved like a 3-hour section where we run through sick as hell, having to dodge fights, and when we're fighting like a little gimp. That would have been grand.
Yeah, I genuinely think it would expand the story in a meaningful way. Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure we've said all of our piece about the Bahamut section. It was
Definitely.
it was nice to look at. Weird overall.
Yeah.
This might be just a little ahead of what you were saying, but there is one part of this section
Mhm.
that I don't like, and this is very much just a me thing because it's fine. The story sees to it anyway.
What?
Mhm.
Annabelle gets out scot fucking free. She gets to do it herself. Fuck that bitch.
True. That would have been cool if we did it.
I genuinely never expected to kill her. I'm not even gonna lie. I thought she was going to die in some bullshit way. I didn't expect her to kill herself, but it was never going to be
No.
Clive does it.
Yes,
Joshua was never
correct.
gonna do it. I didn't even think Dion was ever gonna do it. It
Uh,
wasn't gonna happen. It
I
was
thought Dion was
If
absolutely
if
gonna do it.
anybody out of the group was gonna do it, it would have been Dion.
Also, once Jill actually pulled her blade out, there was a piece of me that was like, "Oh shit, it's gonna be Jill."
True, actually, Jill could have done
Nope.
it.
Because I wouldn't have guessed that beforehand, but she was just prepared.
No, I don't genuinely remember. Okay, remember we were talking about this, and I was like, I wish the game was a little bit more violent in terms of like what you're doing as the character.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're like, that's not going to happen because they
Yep.
don't want you doing
Yep.
it.
Correct.
The only person you're ever violence towards is actually Kupka, and you have insane reason for that. I think Clive, like, clearly despises his mother, but I don't think he would have ever killed her. And I don't think that Jill would have ever either, because she's
Oh
kind of
god.
like female equivalent to Clive at that point in
He
terms of
does
like where they're at in
absolutely.
life.
Yeah, you're right. He holds back on Benedicta. Like he fights her because he has to, but he doesn't. He purposefully chooses not to kill her.
Yep.
Kupka's just full red in the eyes, bloody murder.
No, he has legitimate reason to want to kill and hate Kupka.
Yeah,
Literally,
yeah,
no
yeah.
one else he does this to. He doesn't even kill. What's Odin's host name?
Barnabas.
Barnabas.
He doesn't even kill Barnabas.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't
No,
think
he
he.
doesn't.
I don't.
Barnabas
No, I
suicides
agree with
into
you.
him,
I just
basically.
don't think he. Yeah, I don't think he had that same hatred. Yeah,
Yes.
it's just Kupka and Ultima.
Yeah. Even with his mother, realistically, reason that everything has happened 100% on her
Oh
in
yeah,
his whole life.
yeah.
And I
He
don't
doesn't
think
know
he would
better
do
at
it.
that point. Yeah.
I don't think he cares. I think it's just like, whatever.
Oh no, you're
Yeah.
absolutely correct. Yeah, no,
Yeah. So,
I wanted this, but I didn't think it was ever going to
yeah.
realistically
No,
be
never.
me swinging at her.
Yeah. But after
I
this
just
point,
really did hope it was going to be fucking Dion.
yeah, true. But after this point, everybody's all together. Joshua's with Clive. Dion's bedridden in the infirmary or whatever. Surprisingly, Dion did not die that entire section, which was definitely surprising.
I actually did not expect Dion to die, unironically.
I
No.
expected him to. I did expect him to die. Actually,
Not at that point. I didn't expect him to die, at least.
No, straight up. At no point in this game. Well, I did expect him to die at the end, but if there was a piece of me that wanted him to live to be like a part of the world that rebuilds.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I expected him to die when we fought him. That's my thing.
I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit here because he gets up and he leaves after he starts
Oh,
feeling better.
Mhm.
That fucking kid, the one that's trying to sell potions to soldiers the whole game, and you just keep
Yeah.
bumping into him. I thought that was the weirdest subplot I had ever fucking seen in a game.
I was so certain that was Ultima.
I
thought that this was gonna be some weird play to manipulate to manipulate Dion or something. I couldn't figure out why they were trying to make this character important, and it turns out she's
they're
not.
not. Yeah, I don't get it. I genuinely, honestly, my little fan theory here is I think the second half of the game was unfinished. And I think
No.
no, I genuinely think that the story was unfinished.
No, because the
Or
story's
they had to
complete.
cut some. No, I think they had to cut something because
They did. They did.
for that kid as a storytelling perspective makes no sense at all.
So they did have to cut things, and they've admitted this. I don't think. I think this is just a piece of bad writing. I don't think the kid has.
No, because I don't think there's any
more.
other character that gets explored this well within the main story or even a side quest as much as the kid does, strangely enough.
True.
No, there's a couple curse breakers. I would call them nameless in any other game. A couple of like named but
Okay,
nobody
yeah, there
curse
are a
breakers
couple
that
curse breakers,
do.
but it's still weird because the kid is
Oh, I
just
agree
so
with
out of
you.
place.
It just something about it just doesn't feel
Yeah, that's what I mean. I feel like
correct.
something's lost. I
And
think something.
it's why I think it's just like a piece of questionable writing.
I don't know.
Like the whole thing, her whole reason for existing is to
Sell
um
potions and potion accessories.
no, ignore that. My potion core. Um, no, it's she exists to serve Dion's angst
Redemption arc.
and redemption. Yes,
Yeah.
because past that, she has no bearing on anything. Even other smaller
But
characters in the story.
the thing is that doesn't make sense to me is
I
she didn't have to ever be mentioned at all, and it could have just been a kid off the street, and it would have been fine.
But this gets down to this. The one thing that they were clearly trying to do, and it's why I keep saying everything is justified, but that doesn't make it good. They try to justify every action. They didn't want Dion to just be saved by someone random that he just potentially almost killed. They wanted to justify this character. Because I don't think she is. I don't think she's from the Empire. Didn't we meet her in Dalmekia?
The first time you see her is when you're at literally right after the time skip,
The time skip is
and
Jill, yeah.
yeah, and it's in the market there, and the kid's selling potions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is just a case of, well, we don't want to just have any Aspel characters. We're going to justify everyone. And just because you justify it does not make it good. And I think
Yeah,
that's what's
you
happening.
might be right. You might be right, but I don't know
Hmm.
because I
I
don't.
do agree that I think it's fucking stupid though.
It's really weird.
On,
I don't.
on
I
the
don't get
on the subject of actual cut content or whatever of this game, Leviathan.
it. Do you think Leviathan was cut?
Yeah, because they only one off. Write off. Fucking Leviathan as Leviathan the
think-
Lost.
So you think that there is somewhere out there in the world a character, a summon, and a fight that we aren't going to see? Maybe
do-
DLC.
Do you want to know where I think it was?
Hmm.
Go on.
If they genuinely cut something out of this game, I genuinely think it would have been cut during the 5-year time skip.
Yeah.
Because you could have easily fit something in there. And I think that the way the map is set up and the world is designed, you could have easily just thrown another crystal somewhere and given it a city.
Sure.
But I don't know. I really don't know. I'd be really interested to have somebody data mine this game.
That I would also be interested in.
Like
I don't
look,
think
if a data miner happens to hear that somebody can actually do this, I will slip you a couple $100 to do it. Just find me some files. I'm not joking. No joke at all. I am super curious to see what else is on that
Yeah,
disc.
100%.
Yeah.
Um,
Because I always thought it was weird that Leviathan is definitely one of the icons. He's on the fucking mural. They even mention Leviathan the Lost. What the fuck makes him lost?
Do you want to know what I think the answer is?
What?
Hey, you know that final sin area?
The final sin area.
That giant
Oh,
crater in the ground?
Yeah.
I think once upon a time, I think this is just for like world building things, that there was a big old crystal there and something exploded or was orbitally blasted by a floating continent. I don't think Leviathan was ever planned for the release game. I think we will find out more in backstory stuff.
Like what backstory stuff? We already have access to all the story in the game.
Well, my point is, we are either not going to hear it because we have all the information, or if they choose to elaborate on that, if they do like a fucking Palestinian encyclopedia or something, that is where we will find this. But we won't.
maybe.
But I don't think Leviathan was ever actually planned to make an appearance because honestly, that icon fight would be weird. And that's genuinely my whole thing. It's like I just don't think they wanted to make a Leviathan.
I don't know.
Not after 15.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave it at this. I genuinely think that there is cut content. I don't know if Leviathan is a piece of it. But like, I do think that at one point in development they had an idea for Leviathan, or they have just chosen to not include him.
No, I will justify you. They have said that there is content on the cutting room floor because this was originally meant to be 2 discs. Now, I don't know how much they had to cut, but they clearly admit they had enough to justify a second. And these discs are huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
To
a
justify at least
90 gigabyte
starting.
game. The 90
Yeah.
gigabyte game.
So if it was
So-
planned, and so if it was planned for a second disc, we're not talking about like they had 92 gigabytes that just barely didn't fit. There must have
Yeah.
been like enough to justify a good amount on that second disc.
Yeah. And
So you're definitely right in that regard.
Yeah, I'm genuinely curious as to what is and isn't there, because I do feel like if I were to cut something, actually, if I were to choose to cut something from this game, that was something that you could put something else in its place. The zone where you split up with Jill and Sid at the start of the game, right before you go blast up that first crystal, and you have to go do the missions for the
Oh yeah,
For
for
Isabella?
the dame.
Yeah.
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 That whole zone, that whole section, all the stories there almost don't fucking matter.
I am inclined to agree with you.
And it feels weird. It feels like there was something else meant to be there, or they was really wanting more world fluff like zones to be in,
Yeah,
and maybe that got chosen over Leviathan because it's a smaller section. I don't know. It definitely feels like that section, that one part, I actually don't even remember normally.
that
It
whole
feels
section
incomplete as
was.
fuck.
Well, no, that whole. I would say it's incomplete. It is. It's just not necessary.
Yeah,
The
that's what I
whole-
mean. It feels
Everything in that
pointless.
section is designed to remind you and to give you a visual, which I agree with you. We do not need this, but the whole thing revolved around Empire is shitty to bearers, and I mean, yeah, we get to see it. When we see the guy who's torturing bearers with the wolf, we see that the village of Moore, like out and out, straight up hates fucking bearers and thinks of them as less than an animal. But this is stuff we already know.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes it so weird, and again, I mean, like actually weird, is after you do that, you go up to that church, you
Yeah.
re-meet up with them, and it just skips
Hey,
like so much.
You're just into Oriflamme. No, you're into
Yeah.
the mine.
No, you're in a different whorehouse in the city,
Oh no, you're right. You were in Oriflamme.
and then you get the little cutscene of Jill sitting there awkwardly while fucking girls in the other room are moaning like crazy, and she's like, Clive.
Did we have to be here? And Sid's like, yeah, of course we. Oh, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Well, Sid's like,
It's gonna be
what
really
other safe
awkward when I
place
go-
are we gonna be at?
Sid's like, it's gonna be really awkward when I go in the next room and you start hearing even more, but this time it's going to be my voice.
I'm gonna have to. I have to make an executive decision here. I'm gonna have to fast track the story stuff. All right,
Sure.
'cause,
I genuinely think fast tracking to the end because I think that nothing between.
well, we do have an important part. We have the Odin. We have the
Okay.
Odin part is actually important.
Everything
Yeah.
about kind of leads into this. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is where the story kind of like leans into like the end anyway.
Yeah. So we sidetrack around and we go and we decided we need to go to Storm. All right. Or we decided we need to go to Ash. Yeah. But we need to go to Canver first. All right. Go to Canver. Canver's already being sacked. All right. By Ash. And so we're in there. We're trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And we run into what is it? Tharm's fucking like second in command, who we then figure out is Sleipnir.
Yeah. I don't want to gloss over this because this is slightly important. We also are introduced to the concept that nothing in Ash is alive.
Well, we don't know that yet.
It's true, but I want to point out that doesn't come out of nowhere. Once again, they're doing this thing where they're trying to justify it.
Yeah. Here's how I'm gonna equate Ash. You know what Ash feels like? All right. Ash feels exactly the same writing that they did to Niflheim in 15, where we get there and nothing exists. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Niflheim's already been fucking destroyed.
Do you want to know where I think all the cut content is?
Ash.
It's in fucking Ash, yeah.
Could be.
Because
I
I
don't know.
agree with you. I think Ash is a whole lot of zone with virtually no worth.
Um, yeah. So I think Vivian tells us that a majority of Ash is taken over by the Blight, but nobody on this side of Valisthea really goes to Ash because it's under the kingdom of Waloed, and they've been a very antagonistic force against Storm. So we don't. Nobody really ever travels back and forth between there. All right.
They also say basically that it's incredibly hard to get a boat across because of just the way that the
The
land and
island
everything
is,
is.
Yeah.
It's a bullshit reason, but I think they give a
100%.
pretty good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gave us something.
Yeah. Well, we run into Sleipnir. He tells us we're Sleipnir. We have a pretty cool fight against him, or whatever. Then we kill him. Which again guess makes Barnabas a little mad because
So yeah, like I said, I killed his horse, and I think he took that personally.
because then he came
bit.
out and fucking fucked us up a little bit. What did Joshua say? Cut off nearly, split every,
Like he
nearly
separated
every
every
single
sinew.
sinew. Yeah. And Byron's like, every sinew. What?
Like I assume that's hyperbole, but it's fucking terrifying that he does toy with us
Yeah.
for 10 seconds and then literally one shots us semi-primed.
I think
And
so.
go ahead.
Starting from there, I want to say something. I think it's weird how quickly we get strong enough to beat him.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I almost feel like that should have happened before Bahamut, and it would make everything feel like now we're trying to get stronger or trying
Like
to
I
figure out what to
said,
do.
I think there's a bunch of shit cut in Ash that shows more meaningful growth than we got because
Might be.
it does feel immediate.
Mm-hmm.
It also plays into like the game's pacing at that point in the story. It just feels like once the Bahamut thing happens, it's like snap, 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 snap.
Gotta go,
on
gotta
to the
go,
next
gotta
plot
go.
point. Yeah.
Yeah. During this time or whatever, we recover or whatever, and we're like, okay, well, now we definitely have to go to Ash. All right. And during this time, Mid is making the Enterprise.
I fucking love our goddaughter.
Setting it all up, and it, like every Sid incarnate in the world or whatever, we get a ship and we use the ship to go across to Ash, or we use the ship to go after Tharm,
Who has Jill?
Who has Jill, because that was looked over. We almost die or whatever, but Jill, and this is the part where I thought Jill was actually going to die.
No,
or no, not going to die, but get hurt enough to where she only has enough strength left to pass over the power.
Okay.
Whatever.
I'm gonna roll something back here real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think Leviathan was supposed to be there at the bottom of the ocean because that makes so much goddamn sense.
True.
I don't know how we would get there, but I really think that section would make so much sense.
No, I disagree with you because the whole reason the ocean is split is because of Odin.
Yeah, I know,
but it could have been any reason the ocean gets split. Leviathan could have been working with him, and it would make more sense as to why we're becoming more powerful. Like, let's say he was his right hand man.
FMV though.
Well, the fight down there is not an FMV.
No, but the whole reason that we're at the bottom of the ocean
is because he put us there.
Yes.
Like that could have been bait into fighting Leviathan. Like if it wasn't someone else.
I see. Yeah. So long as you're not trying to change how we get there, I don't see any reason why not.
Yeah.
No. He's the reason why we're there.
The ocean feels really weird. Like straight, it feels weird because we just fought him and lost. We fight him again and we lose, and then it's like, what? Why did we have to establish that we're still that fucking weak? Like. Or are we like Saiyans, and every time that you break every bone in our body and it heals, we're 3 times stronger?
Well, to be fair, that is the excuse they kind of give.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't like. I know.
I also don't like. I like genuinely. I think we should either keep losing to this guy and find a different way for him to be dealt with, or we just shouldn't have eaten that second loss as aggressively as we did.
Yeah.
Because we're not talking about we grow into that fight. We get bodied. We get
Mhm.
bodied a second time, and then it's just a full on fight that we win. We're not winning the whole time, but like we go even and then very obviously win. And
Yeah.
woof.
So we get bodied at the bottom of the ocean, and then and then Tharm's like, you know what? I can just fucking drown you under the ocean. Snaps his fingers, and the water starts falling down, and you're like, oh well, fuck. Apparently we weren't too far off from Ash. So Jill like fucking freezes us a tunnel. Um, and then we get hot beach sex.
Implied hot beach sex.
Oh yeah,
They should have gone the God of War route and made it a minigame.
We look. We have to mash square to do things as an icon. I can see it.
Yeah, yeah. Like, why not? Why not? Let's just if you're gonna lean into it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so quick. Like I'm super fucking emotionally vulnerable about situations like this. I really fucking wish that we didn't have to play coy for half the game with their relationship. Like, why they were living together for 5 years. Come on, guys.
Yeah,
True.
I don't really get it unless she was just like not into it because she was still like PTSD about the stuff that happened to her.
Which is fair, but she clearly is like immediately in love with him again. And we play coy with the relationship. I'm not saying that anyone has to like put out or anything. Like why was it the last 5 hours of the game before the kiss, before we get kissy faces? And look, I am being super bitch made about this because I fucking love this wholesome shit, and I needed this counterbalance to the ridiculousness of the Game of Thrones writing for the rest of this game.
But also it's also to a level of also again like kind of bad pacing or whatever, because not only do we get a kiss in the last like 5 hours of the game, we get 3 kisses in the last 5 hours of the game.
Yeah.
After that first kiss, that they do it 2 more times.
I should mention I'm fine with this. Like it's really nice that they didn't pull like a 6, 7, or not 7, 7 and 8. We never see anything, but like 6 and 9 and 10, where everything happens literally at the end of. Oh no, Sudeki Dane was 2/3 of the way or so. So like the 8 thing where like they're in a relationship from the moment they meet, but we don't get anything till the very end. I am happy that it happened before the end, but the weird will they won't they romance felt super out of place when it was clearly they will. Just let's have this as a nice wholesome counterbalance against the beheading and the angsty fighting that was happening the whole time. And this is just a me thing, but I needed that and I didn't get it.
No, I kind of agree with you because I think it's weird how it's paced out, and even with my reason of like, oh, maybe it was because she wasn't comfortable, whatever. It just feels weird.
This cutscene actually brings up something that kind of sours like the end of the game for me, or like is the starting point of like what kind of fucked up like the end of the game for me, in a way, and we'll get to that when we actually get to the end, whatever. But this is the starting point that I kind of start having an issue with. But so we have this like nice tender moment on the beach where they're both butt ass naked, because I guess they're drying their clothes.
That is in fact the reason.
Yeah. And Jill goes through this whole thing of like, she really wants to help and everything, and then obviously she loves Clive and all that stuff, and Clive's like doing the whole I really don't want you to be part of this or whatever, because he cares about her, and then she's like if you and not so many actual words or whatever, pretty much says you can take my power if you want it or whatever, and to actually force me out of the fight or whatever, and that's what Clive does. Clive takes her power, and so that's where you get the Shiva thing, which by the way was actually the first one that the first icon that I got where I was like, okay, I need to swap out Phoenix for this, because Cold Snap's actually really fucking good.
Yeah, Permafrost is a bitch.
So we get her power, and Mid comes and saves us, takes us off of Ash, and then we go back to the hideout and we say we need to go back to Ash, pretty much. we're like we need to go back. That's the only way we're gonna do. It's only that's the last Mother Crystal left. So I'm just gonna like fast track this segment of we go to Ash. All right, we pretty much go to the go to the same point. In the cutscene right before it, Clive's like, tells Jill, she stay here or whatever, and all that. Joshua gives us a fucking look of like, what? All right. And then as soon as we get on the fucking Ash continent or whatever, Joshua fucking decks Clive in the face and he goes, "You took her power, didn't you?"
At least for Clive's pride, he let Gav leave first.
Yeah.
But yeah, he leaned into it, and I mean, Joshua's not going to hit you very hard, but he was.
I want to say, just for the record here, the way Clive and Joshua are written is actually like two brothers interacting.
Yeah, 100%.
It's really, really well done.
Well, they're like two brothers interacting in a healthy way.
Yes, well, that's what I mean. I'm not going to say unhealthy.
Oh no, because I'm just thinking like a lot of people might think like, I mean, we fought a whole lot. Like they never fight. They also didn't see each other for like 20 years, guys. Come on.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if they never fight. Literally, it's something that's hard to peg down because like the other day my brother and I worked together, and the other day someone that works with my brother said, your brother's a bitch as a joke, and kind of like walked out of the room. I looked over at my friends. I'm gonna jump that guy in the parking lot because like it was a joke, but like if it's my brother, it's different, and I feel like they really encapsulated that idea with Joshua and Clive. Like they did a good job of it.
Yeah, I think they nailed the familial aspect of, honestly, Clive, Joshua. Well, Clive and Joshua, Clive and Jill and Torgal. Because I know that Joshua has like a whole quest revolved around we should do something nice for Jill, but they don't actually have a relationship.
Yeah,
but they do feel like a cohesive, like familial unit, and that was very good.
Yeah.
It's really well done.
So Joshua gives Clive a speech about how you need to not try to do everything yourself or whatever. You're supposed to let your friends help you and all that shit. And then they're like, okay, well, you punched me. I'm fine with that. I understand. But it is my choice. And Joshua's like, okay, let's go. All right. So yeah, I mean, we're going through Ash, and we immediately realize that this place is a barren fucking wasteland.
100%. Holy shit, it was bleak.
They obviously a lot of their places is deadlands or whatever, but when we actually get to a place where people are living at or whatever, we find one person because everybody's been turned Akashic.
Are we taking into consideration the quest later? Because I mean, to your point, everyone's fucking like this is what I was saying. Everyone's fucking dead. Everyone is fucking dead.
Yep.
I was about to say, except for Edda, and then. But like even the other people that we find in the quest later, they turn Akashic because they're.
Oh fuck! I did forget that we. Never mind. You're right.
Yeah.
Fucking turn.
I actually really like the storytelling there. I think it shows like this is where Ultima's. As much as I don't like Ultima, it's like this is his plan succeeding. This is what he wants to happen as far as we know at this point. And the one person who's like on his side is making it happen in a horrifying way.
Oh yeah.
I think it's like a great example of like. We need to stop it. Like, I liked it.
Yeah.
Can we just jump to like we're at the Tower of Barnabas and stuff, going through us to Ash?
Because there's fucking nothing else that happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Joshua finds the full mural.
It doesn't matter at this point. Like he has his little revelation and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, honestly, he finds out that Phoenix isn't actually technically supposed to be part of the list. That Ifrit's actually part of the list, but Phoenix isn't.
No. That they are supposed to be combined.
Well, yeah, combined, but
that was what's important. That was what that horrendous Bahamut fight was meant to justify. Again, justified.
Justified.
Still bad.
Still bad. Yeah.
But
we go through the entirety of Ash or whatever, and we get to we go through the Barnabas Tower or whatever, or with the Edge of Infinity is what it's called.
Yeah.
Oh, is that
Alright.
really? Okay.
Well, the area is called the Edge of Infinity. The tower is called
It doesn't matter.
Reverie, I think.
Yeah, I don't care. It does not matter. It's just fluff.
It's literally just a tower. For us to
So the
establish.
Odin fight as a whole, encapsulating just the whole thing, start to finish. What did you guys think?
I enjoyed the fight. I liked it.
Okay.
It was
okay.
It was more grounded than all the other fights.
Yeah, for sure. It was more grounded than Bahamut. I guess I did like it more than Bahamut.
It felt like an action RPG fight, or an
Yeah.
action game fight. It didn't feel like it didn't feel like a rail shooter or anything like that, because it wasn't.
The fight itself I was fine with. But I think I was distracted by the we've mentioned this already, by the fact that I didn't think I should have been there yet.
Yeah. It feels way rushed to get
Oh
there.
yeah,
But I did
yeah.
I personally
But the fight
did enjoy
itself,
the fight.
yeah, the fight
I
itself
like the
was
visuals,
fine.
I like the design. Great job.
Also, I think Odin is the best looking icon of all of them, so that didn't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Holy shit, Odin looked amazing.
I actually do not like Bahamut's design. I wasn't even going to bring it up, but I don't think it's bad. But he does not look like a cool dragon. He looks like, hey guys, I grew some wings. You want to see me breathe some fire? Like, he looks like the nerd dragon.
He
You know
does
what
look.
I mean?
He does look a bit different from like other iterations. I mean, so it's weird to go from this team making the Giga Chad Bahamut of 14 to making this one, which is definitely nowhere near as powerful.
I certainly would have preferred like 14 or like 7 or 8 Bahamut to what we got, but knowing who was working on this, I did expect a wonky looking dragon, because Heaven's Word had a lot of wonky looking dragons.
Yeah,
We saw the Vidofnir model a couple of times, which is a pretty good one for just like an elite mob. But like if you think about it, like Freysfelger, Nidalger, even Vitra, they're all non-standard looking dragons as far as the West is concerned.
I think he's just like, I think he is just a little bit off in terms of model.
I mean,
with
I
that
agree.
said,
I would have liked Svarog as the model for Bahamut, if I'm honest.
That'd be fine with me too.
Just a big fuck off. I guess they would have had to make it bluish black, but
they could have made it work. He just looks weird compared to all the other ones, because I think they nailed just about all of them.
Oh, great.
Except him. I think Odin is probably like the best.
So fucking cool.
Yeah, Odin's the best looking.
But Bahamut is clearly the worst.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Just yes.
But yeah. Also, Odin's, after you beat Odin, like his abilities you get and everything, really good. Really fun.
They're so though, or this isn't a bad thing. Odin is the one iconic style that wants to be intact.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you do not want to put anything else in the Odin icon slot.
And it's why I don't use him, and the other reason being it's too powerful. It further trivializes the game.
I actually like that trivializes the game, because I got tired of fighting small enemies, and his moves just obliterate small enemies, so it solves the problem at that point.
That's true.
Anyway, so we fight Odin. And it goes. So I actually liked the way this fight was like set up, because it was like you fight, primed fucking or semi-primed Barnabas or whatever, and then he's like, okay, well fuck you, I'm turning Odin or whatever. All right, and then you have your little cut your butt cutscene button press thing between like Odin and Ifrit or whatever. But you fuck each other up and you knock each other back out into like your human forms or whatever, and then you have your second phase and you do that fight, which is cool. And I like the telegraphs for Odin's or whatever. They're easily outside of that one he does in the beginning of the second phase or whatever, because I couldn't understand what was like. I couldn't understand like right off the bat like what was going on with that. All of his telegraphs are easily visual, like you can tell where you need to stand.
He's easy to read.
Yeah, he's easy to read. And it's not that it's not that he's like easy to read. It's just easy to understand or whatever. It's
Yeah.
good visual clarity. Is
Yeah,
the thing.
actually,
Yeah,
Um,
that's something
that's
I
going to be
feel like
important later on.
Yeah.
that's something that the game clearly lacks, and they put a lot of emphasis on spectacle over clarity. Because I know you can do things, very well, but the screen can be a clusterfuck.
mhm. And then you go through in between phase 3 and 4. You go into doing the the Bahamut Ifrit type thing again or whatever, and you knock each other out of it. And then you have your pretty much final phases or whatever, which are like really cool. But at this point, uh, you're not fighting Barnabas as the way he is throughout the entirety of the game. Um, Apparently, you've gotten strong enough to withstand a lot of his attacks or whatever, and you have now gotten to the point where he's actually just snapped and he's never had a fight like this for like the entirety of his life or whatever. So he goes batshit, and which I thought was actually pretty cool.
No, I liked his little character arc kind of storytelling thing they did there. I think it was really
Yeah.
well done.
And then you beat him, and it turns out that he was pretty much Akashic all along. Because he immediately used up like literally all of his ether, in that fight. And Clive was actually going to leave. He wasn't going to take fucking Odin's power. He wasn't even going to try to do it or whatever. But fucking Barnabas forces it on you because he kept saying that he was going to make you presentable for Ultima because he's like Ultima Thrall.
Yep.
And so you at this point in time you now have the Odin abilities. From the bottom of the tower up to fighting Odin, I thought that was really good. I actually like the tower dungeon. I feel like we don't have enough dungeons in this game or whatever. Whether side or main or like main story stuff. But like I enjoyed the entirety of the fight. I thought it was really cool. So I
I mean, it was just Bloody
also
Palace as far as I was concerned. I was down with it.
yeah. So yeah, we have we defeated Barnabas and we have Odin stuff, and our fucking sights are set on the Mother Crystal, and it's literally a straight shot because all of Ash is a giant all of Ash is Final Fantasy X. Actually, it is literally just
Don't know that
straight
I
shot.
like this. Okay,
Just
okay.
a straight shot. It's just a straight shot.
Yeah. Okay.
There's no like it's not like part of Valistia where everything's set up in like in between like different kingdoms or whatever, like Dhalmekia and Rosaria and all that stuff. All of Ash is one kingdom, so you go from the bottom to the top.
All right,
You get to
Drake.
the you get to the oh god, yeah. You get to the big open up area where there's actually like structures and stuff. Which I thought actually like this area actually looks pretty cool. There's a place like right off to your left that's like a kind of big Coliseum area. I walked up there and I was like, I'm fighting a boss in here at some point in time. 100%, and that it is where you fight. It is where you fight a hunt at some point in time. So that's cool. And then we make ourselves up to the kingdom of Waloed, to the capital. I don't know about you guys. Oh, actually, probably not neither of you guys because I was the first one to get here, and I was like, I thought this was the end of the game. I thought this was about to be the end of the game, like in Waloed. I don't know if any of you guys thought that.
Nah, when they gave you a notice for the halfway point of the game, I figured they were going to make it very, very clear, what the final mission was going to be, which they do.
But it kind of does feel like that, or because like here
It has all
like,
the tropes, sure. Yeah,
it has almost all the tropes because you go through the capital or whatever. Capital's fucking destroyed, by the way. Oh, nobody lives in the capital. It's nothing but Akashic and fucking orcs. All right. So like this literally is Niflheim from fucking Final Fantasy 15. You go there and nobody's fucking alive or whatever. That the Imperial capital's been destroyed forever ago. And you get there. I get like actually the one line I probably laughed at the most from Clive or whatever, because you're fighting an ass ton of Akashic. They just keep coming in or whatever, and Clive just goes, "This never ends. It never fucking ends." um, and you do that, and then you get saved by all your friends. They come crashing into the side of the building and all that stuff. And this is why I thought this was like the end or whatever, because you have the little area where you can talk to all your friends, like all your some of your more like important friends or whatever. All right, and you have the red symbol over Joshua's head saying, go here to complete the story. It was very RPG tropey, like, here's this whole thing.
I actually did not think it was going to end there. Unironically, I think in my mind it's like, okay, we're just setting this up so that way you don't have to go back to the hideout to replenish your shit because it's been so long.
I guess, yeah, I could see that from a gameplay standpoint.
But overall, I liked the section. I thought it was okay. A little Kingdom Heartsy for my taste. With my friends are my true power going on, but it's whatever.
So we open the door and Ultima's standing right behind the door, and he's like, "What's up, guys?"
Yep. Just yeets us into another dimension. The only true homie and the only one that's been a true homie for the whole game jumps through to follow us, which is the dog.
Yeah.
No hesitation.
Torgal's actually the best character in this entire game. No joke.
Yeah, by an insanely big margin, honestly.
So you remember when I came in a call with you when I was playing the game and I was like, this feels very Final Fantasy, this ending or whatever?
Yeah.
This is where I was at or whatever.
Okay.
Because Ultima takes you to the interdimensional rift, all right, which is in every fucking Final Fantasy game, except for 15 or whatever. The rift's not in there. Well, technically, actually kind of is. It's like in every fucking Final Fantasy game. It's the one thing that pretty much connects all Final Fantasy games, all right? And he's sitting there talking to you, and he's like giving you fucking like the exposition of his backstory or whatever. And I was like, wow, this is exactly a Final Fantasy game. Actually, the big bad, he's like fucking monologuing his backstory to you while you're in the interdimensional rift.
This is where the story actually starts going massively downhill for me.
No, I don't know about going down. I was fine with this.
I was actually okay with this.
I think it begins to muddy the storytelling, because like there's so much about Ultima that I don't have a yes or no to or answers.
I feel like that's not true though. I feel like they're all answered in this and the second expedition dump we get with Ultima.
But I think it's all very muddied. I've never used the active lore stuff in the game like all that much. I wish I could have just done it for Ultima just to have a concise idea of what he's trying to tell me.
I never did it for Ultima, but I heard someone say that if Ultima was on screen, you couldn't bring that up.
It was me.
Yeah, Zeke said that last night.
Yep. There are points in the game where you can bring it up, but during that whole final section, like this and into like the actual final boss, you can't do it.
I do find that really weird. Oh, I wonder what the design choice for that is. I don't have too much of an issue with this. I as a fuck, I'm trying to think of the word, but like at its core or whatever, I don't agree with Ultima being a bad guy or whatever. I don't agree with like him being the big bad or whatever. I don't like the whole alien coming and like, fucking up our world story.
I mean, he's God too. Like, don't downplay his role.
Yeah, true, yeah. I don't like alien coming to our world, becoming creating humans, and then using us to pretty much just farm the ether to become an even bigger god, I guess.
Whilst I
Um,
have no issues as not no issues. While I have fewer issues than everyone else as presented, I do think the addition of Ultima as to the level that he is does take away from what could have been a better game if we had just focused on the crystals. Like literally, if Barnabas was just the big bad because he was a semi-immortal, it would have been fine.
I would have.
Like if we
I, I
take this like from a
yeah
14 standpoint, the crystals are in fact robbing the earth of ether,
mhm.
and that is the reason why the blight is creeping in. Fair enough.
yep.
Crack the crystals, fix the planet. Fantastic. It means we have to go. It means we have to literally undo everything the world relies on to save it. Brilliant. Have like Odin be the big bad because of course Odin. If you have to choose one of these creatures to be the big bad, it's in my
Yeah.
opinion, it's got to be Odin.
Yeah.
I know people would make a case for Bahamut, but I don't know, guys. I think it
I
has to
think
be
having
Odin.
Odin as being the final boss was fucking good. I think that would be great because I think as the last primal you fight or it's icon or whatever they want to call it this game, he was a good choice.
Yeah, and I would have literally just had Ultima be the will of the crystals trying to stay alive because they gain some weird kind of sentience. I
I'm
would not have had him be the last enemy. I would have had you deal with him sometime before that and had that be when Clive comes to terms with what he is.
yes, and honestly, I don't mind Ultima being there. I agree with you though. I think it muddies just an overall good story, and
This is what I will agree with. Yes, because I
I
think that they do a
I
lot of
don't care that
justifying, but
I
it,
don't care that he exists. I just wish that since he is there, this is how he was written. I wish they had done something more with him, other than just being the creeping shadow of darkness that is ever looming.
I don't think I want. I don't think I would want to see more of Ultima because I think Ultima they had a very distinct plan on what they wanted from it. He's
I
this
think
cold robotic creature, and they nail it. But it is the least inspiring, least impressive thing. Like this weird alien Matt Smith is just monologuing at me like a robot. I don't
so.
care.
So I think what should have happened with Ultima is yes he's I think he would have been it would have been okay if Ultima was like the final boss or whatever, but have Ultima be the final guardian of the crystal or whatever.
Sure.
All right. You should have had like because they already introduced there being a possible guardian of crystals with Typhon.
With
All right.
Typhon, yeah.
Yeah, and then they should have had a guardian for like you would have had like an icon fight at each crystal, but after that you would have had a guardian fight to destroy the
Correct.
crystal or whatever. And then the final one would have been have Odin be a hell of a lot more powerful than he was for our fight, but also be the final icon fight before Ultima or whatever. And how you could have attempted to break the crystal and have Ultima beat you at first, and then have us send back and like do like some like fucking extra like shit before actually trying to go back and
Sure.
destroy the final crystal. Because then that would have been like a more Final Fantasy thing to do. But have Ultima as the final guardian for the crystal, all right, and then after we destroy the crystal or whatever, the ether floods back into the land, and then maybe magic is done with or something like that, or
Okay.
something along that line.
So, are we okay with just skipping from where we're at now, the monologue and Ultima, right to the final fight, or do we want to talk about like the final goodbye and shit?
So let's
I think we need to explain um
The setup.
the setup for it because going into the final area or whatever, um I mean, we have to talk about Dion being able to turn back into Bahamut or whatever and still be in control at that point, which I also is oddly I feel like the Dominants still having their powers or whatever also still feels oddly not explained.
I think it was fine up until Dion because
Yeah.
it was essentially like it was great. Once you lose Clive takes whatever he takes from you, you are no longer in control. You are now just a vessel.
You know what
Yeah.
I think it is, and I think it's explained poorly.
Go on.
I think he's zapping them of a fuck ton of ether, and I think when they rebuild it back up, they can do it again, but it's not as like easy. It's like
Yeah, I
draining
mean,
a battery to
fair.
0, and then it can't never go back up to 100%.
Yeah,
but
fair. I mean, it's
the issue is
something.
that it's not explained.
Yeah.
And that I will agree. Like, that is left a mystery, seemingly on purpose, but that's not the move.
Yeah.
Not if you're gonna have Dion like purposefully break that rule. Now we
Yeah.
need to know why he was able to do it, and all we can think is because it's repeated throughout the whole game. Willpower, because will's
Yeah.
super important.
Yeah.
That might be it. Maybe because he found like that new will to live in that street urchin that sells potions. No.
Well, except he didn't. He was going there to die.
He
Yeah,
was, and then like the kid saved him. He's like, my
No,
people
no, no,
still
no, no,
need
no,
me.
no.
No.
The whole subtext of everything Dion does.
No,
Is,
he's not going there to die. He's going there to die for redemption.
yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So I think in that context, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So like I said, maybe it's will, because will is the only thing that they use as a justification for anything icon related. And it's, a lot of it goes towards Clive. That's all I've got for you, but it is
All right.
not outright stated.
Yeah, it's
but to
Okay.
fast track this actually or whatever, because I mean we're sitting at 2 hours actually already. Yeah, so we go to Origin. Origin's created after all the crystals were destroyed. We go to Origin. We're all there. Dion turns into Bahamut to fly us there or whatever. Ultima shows up and we have like this big 3-on-1 fucking icon battle against Ultima. We do the summoner's wet dream of creating a gigantic tri-disaster of friendship against him.
I hate that. I love that so much.
I hate that. I hate that so much. Like I don't.
That really was some cheesy, ridiculous nonsense.
It
Yeah.
was, dude. I was in chat with John while we were watching. I think you were there too. I literally paused the game and said, "What the hell is this Kingdom Hearts bullshit doing in my Final Fantasy?"
Yeah.
No, I loved it. I thought it was great.
When I got to that part or whatever, I had messaged Dalit saying this is some Dragon Ball Z shit or whatever, because it was.
Yeah.
So I don't mind it or whatever. I thought it was actually kind of cool, and it to get into like a just really quick side explanation. It kind of shows what they should have done with Dion's character throughout the game or whatever. Because at this point in time, Dion is a stepbrother to these two or whatever. While he's not related to them by
only by law,
by marriage,
not by blood.
only by marriage or whatever. But at this point in time, he still is technically a stepbrother to these two, and it just shows because like Dion's actually one of the only other dominants in the game that kind of actually has a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
And they should have done more with his character throughout the game or whatever to actually maybe be like, all right, they can have can have a relationship with this character.
Yeah, this is something that I brought up earlier, where it's like I wish that some things just got added out more. Like they really could have just taken a couple, not even an hour of stuff, and just padded out like his story more, and I think it would be more interesting. Because what's there is okay. What's there is good normally. But the more that they add, I don't think there's any character in this game I would not enjoy seeing more of.
Yeah.
In just context of existing in the world and doing stuff.
Well, I can name one, but
who?
Oh yeah.
Ultima.
Yeah, Ultima. Yeah.
No, I want more Ultima. I wish I could fucking understand like the idea
more
behind
Ultima
other
means he
just
might have been more fleshed out.
I think it's fine.
I just wish I had, instead of expedition lore dumping at the last 20 minutes of the game, he could have just like had something, because like he's supposed to be so fucking important and like this huge figure of everything, and it's like nobody even knows who the fuck he is.
By design.
Yeah. Fair, but I don't like it.
I mean, yeah,
personally.
that's fair. That's fair.
So we have this like big icon fight. Obviously, we're like slightly controlling it a bit. We're going back and forth between controlling
all three of them.
All three of them or whatever. It's cool. We push Ultima to a point where he's kind of just pissed off or whatever. By the way, Ultima's turned into Ifrit Prime or something like that, or Ifrit Risen. And so because he's like a different version of Ifrit or something like that, but he charges up this gigantic attack, and Joshua was gonna take the hit, but Dion decided to take it, and so Dion is dead, but also no body, no death. So I'm just gonna put that out there. Uh, Joshua and Clive wake up on a bridge or whatever, and they're like fucking like crawling their way towards this like center console or whatever, where I guess the Heart of Origin is. And then that's where Ultima comes up and gives us exposition dump part 2. Turns out crystals were meant to be destroyed so they can trigger the origin crystal, and that because that's where apparently all of the other Ultimas are sitting at.
All but one.
All but one, and the other one is and the last one is buried inside Joshua's chest because he trapped it
Way back in Oriflamme.
Yeah, way back in Oriflamme.
Enjoying the video? Remember to like and sub. Helps out the channel a bunch, and we're grateful for everyone we get.
Doing so, ripping Ultima out of Joshua's chest kills him. So Joshua dies. Clive is mad. Clive then proceeds to fight Ultima. Ultima turns into Ultimalis towards the end. This is where I was kind of annoyed or whatever. I like phase 1 and phase 3 of this fight. I could not see anything in phase 2. I was just pressing buttons or whatever.
Which part was phase 2?
The fucking floating around. The Ifrit
Oh.
versus Ifrit Cosmos fucking like red and blue fucking background. I couldn't see anything. My eyes were burning during that part.
I actually had no issue with that personally.
Same.
But at the same time, I don't know. I think like at this point in the game, if your eyes have chosen to give out, you probably just played too much 15 in one day. 16 in one
16.
day.
Yeah,
because I don't know. The whole game is literally 14 levels of just eye pain on max settings constantly. If you're just like comboing and fighting really fast.
Well, that's
like,
only really because of the motion blur. The motion blur fucks me up because you always have that like when you move around in the game or whatever. My eyes hurt. My eyes like hurt because of that or whatever. This particular phase, like if you're colorblind, you cannot see this phase.
Are you colorblind?
No, I'm not. I'm saying if you are colorblind, you could not see this phase. It was nothing but colors.
I don't know. I actually don't know if it's that bad. I think that might just be a you thing because I don't do well with like bright colors normally in games, especially not super fast. But like it didn't bother me.
I
personally anyway.
I didn't like it. But phase 1 and phase 3 were pretty good. Especially phase 3 where both you and Ultima were cycling through the icons.
I thought okay, so I'm just gonna jump right into phase 3, because I think the whole thing's good, but I do think going through all the icon abilities and you clashing and showing that I'm the stronger one, Ultima, was like super cheesy, but like okay, it's cool. That's an okay way to do it. You know what I mean? I liked how every time you phased him, it was a new set of abilities to fight against. It was a good fight. You have any input on that one, Doll?
I like the whole damn thing. I thought this was a fantastic finale.
But
I've played all the Kingdom Hearts games except for Dream Drop, and it just felt like a Kingdom Hearts ending.
Yeah,
it literally did feel like a Kingdom Hearts.
No, it really feels. The fight reminds me almost entirely of the ending of the Kingdom Hearts one.
Yeah, one specifically, I can see it.
Yeah, like almost to a T. All he missed was becoming a giant battleship for some reason.
Yeah,
Kingdom Hearts one was weird, man.
Sure fucking was, my guy.
Yeah, but so yeah, I liked phase 1 and phase 3.
Okay, so we beat Ultima. Clive absorbs him. Let's just go straight to that. He absorbs Ultima.
Whoa.
Oh god, what'd I miss?
You miss the dumbass cheesy as fuck line Clive says
It's
before
not
he
that
punches.
bad.
It is that bad.
What?
They
What?
literally said,
What?
he literally says, "This is your fantasy, Ultima, and we're your final witness," or whatever. Because
I
they
actually didn't
needed
even
to
think
put.
that was that forced.
Thank you.
They-
It really was not that bad.
It really wasn't that bad.
They
He's
didn't need-
used the final whatever multiple times during this game.
No, this
It's
was
not
the
even
only
out of
time he
character.
actually had final and fantasy in the same sentence.
Yeah, but
This
he
is the
said
first
something's
time.
the final something.
No, they said they mentioned fantasy earlier.
Okay, or whatever. He said the word before. It doesn't feel
But
that forced to me. It's in his
It's
vocabulary.
it's to the same level as the Avengers saying "We avenge."
Not to me. I don't think it was.
I think it's cringe as fuck.
I did not have a single issue.
Unironically, I didn't even fucking notice it. So like, I don't think it's that bad personally.
And he says that line or whatever. At that point in time, I'm out of the game. I did not like that part or whatever. And then he punches him in the face and does max damage. Which I actually kind of thought was pretty funny.
I actually thought the max damage thing was pretty funny, honestly.
Yeah,
but
I thought that.
I
I thought it
liked
was
the
pretty
thing
funny,
overall.
Yeah. Yeah, and then he absorbs him. Fucking Ultima shit talking you while you're absorbing him. And he's like, oh, all right, well, I'm gonna go and try to revive Joshua over here. At least heals him. At least heals him.
He just absorbed Ultima. This is important.
Yeah, he just absorbs Ultima. He uses the Phoenix powers to try to revive Joshua or whatever. I will recall towards the earlier part in the game where they said even the Phoenix powers cannot revive somebody from the dead. That being said, he did just absorb Ultima's power, which means he's pretty much a god right now. So, he does heal Joshua's body, but is unsure that if he is alive or not. But after that, Clive realizes that his body cannot handle the power that he had just used, and that he will now destroy the crystal, destroy the origin crystal to try to revert the world back to what it used to be, which should take out all magic and all icon abilities, all icons and all that stuff or whatever. And he said even if it has to kill him, he'll use it or whatever. And so he destroys the origin crystal, and washes up on the beach, where he like looks at his hand and he tries to use he looks like he tries to use a Phoenix power on him or whatever, but it goes out, so which means he doesn't have any more magic power or whatever. But his hand starts turning into stone. Looks up at the sky, asks Jill if she sees it. Just snaps over to Jill or whatever. There, Ed is having her baby and all that shit. Toro's looking out the window, kind of does like a little growl or whatever. Jill goes over there and looks at it, and she looks at Media, which is the red star under the moon, and it goes out, which signifies to her that Clive is dead. She cries. Gab, being the guy that he has the attention span of really good and understands what's going on. He also cries because he understands that if she's crying, that means she feels like that Clive's dead. She goes out. She's still crying. She looks up at the rising sun, and then it cuts to the credits.
Okay.
So, at this point, you're led to believe that Clive is dead.
So, without going into the post-credit scene, I'm going to say this right now because I've had more time to sit and think on this.
Mm-hmm.
Cutting out my displeasure with the parts of the Ultima existing I don't like. I actually think Clive's story overall is really fucking good, and I wouldn't change a single goddamn thing about it.
I would.
I would. I would make him survive.
I don't think him dying makes a big difference, and I would have liked to see a happy ending. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm just a fucking sap. I'm tired of them dying. I am. I didn't like that Noctis did, but I don't think there's any saving that story anyway. I don't like that they retconned in 13.2 that Lightning didn't get to be with everyone. I don't like that they killed Sarah in 13.2. I don't like the Type Zero ending. I'm so fucking tired of the wind relinquishing any hope for an actual standard happy ending. Like, it's a fantasy.
I
The
think.
fantasy can be a happy ending. I
All
promise
right,
you.
that's fine, but I personally am
Oh no, this
okay
is a
with it.
personal gripe.
Yeah,
This is a personal gripe. I think as giving it is fine.
Yeah.
It is just fine.
No,
This is
that's fine.
my gripe.
In my mind, and I'm going to how I interpret this. I think this is the happiest ending Clive could have gotten because it is heavily implied that if he goes through with what he's doing, he's going to die.
Oh
Because
yeah.
everybody tells him, "Don't do this, buddy. You're gonna fucking die if you go in alone," and he has to end up doing it alone, basically. But at the end of the game, as now we're gonna have to talk about the post-credit thing for this to be justified. But I believe he saves Joshua's life. I think he has a. I think he had what he wanted with Jill, and he made her life fixed as like an amends to what happened. As he kind of blamed himself for it because everything that happened at Phoenix Gate. He resets the world to where there's no more, racism and slavery and stuff. He does everything he wanted. He gets his happy ending and can finally rest.
I agree with exactly half of that.
Okay, fair enough.
I definitely agree that he saved Joshua and goes on. I don't think this is immediate. I think this is so fucking far in the future, and people have literally forgotten about this. I think that magic has waned because no crystals,
Yeah.
and the world has
If
reset.
if we're talking about post credits, I was not specifically talking about that yet.
Oh no, I don't think those kids have anything to do with Clive.
I don't think that have anything to do with Clive either. But I think
I thought,
okay.
Okay, my
Okay, I think realistically, it has nothing to do with him. If you're going off my fan theory, it could be like
that
his
must have
great
been what it was.
grandchildren or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking
But
of from last night.
I do think it's like way into the future. I think the kids are playing, and it shows that that life has turned to a semi-normal state where kids can just be happy, fucking
Yes.
kids doing whatever.
Agreed.
There is no more magic, and the Final Fantasy are the friends we made along the way.
Yep. That's also what I take away then.
And
yeah.
honestly, I think that's at the end what he wanted. Like, yes, he probably wanted a happy life with Jill or whatever, but he set out to do everything that he wanted to accomplish. I think that it shows that his story is over. It doesn't, whether he lives or dies does not matter. His story is over.
Correct.
And he did what he wanted. And to me, that's the happy ending. To me. Like, could he have gotten his little bit of rest and enjoyed life some? Sure. But he set out and finished his life goals 110%, basically.
Yeah. My issue with it is that I feel like Clive didn't have any character development at all because he stayed the same character from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. That's where that one big issue with the whole Jill thing came in because he's been told over and over again that he needs to not sacrifice himself. He needs to save himself or whatever, but in the end doesn't do it at all.
Yeah, I think they went with character character consistency over growth. I agree.
Yeah. And I don't like that. I like character growth over consistency.
But so let me ask you this question: if he had still done it by himself and survived, would you even give a damn?
I actually think if he survived, it would have been a cop out.
No, if he survived, I'd have been happy.
No, because I think that they specifically say, "Hey, if you do this, you're going to die." It's not written on the wall, but they literally keep telling him, "Don't do it by yourself; you will die." And he chooses to do it by himself.
This is also a fantasy game, and just because a character tells you something doesn't mean it's going to happen.
It is a cop-out answer, but I do agree with that. Like, look, listen, it's a fantasy game. Just sometimes stop being so fucking rigid.
I've been monkey pawed by this game at least once. I think twice now that I think about it. I asked for Torgal to have a bullshit reason.
Oh my god, same.
Okay, I'm not asking for it again. I don't want a bullshit reason for Clive to live. Fuck it.
The reason why I kept saying last night is that the story is that the ending or whatever is actually kind of slightly ambiguous or whatever is because there is another interpretation of the story of the ending.
Okay.
The interpretation is that Clive does survive because we only see his hand turn to stone or whatever. We don't see it like again, no body, no death type thing or whatever. in the last quest line with Jill or whatever, they talk about him coming back at the dawn. All right, whatever. They have this whole like line about like um even if it's at night or whatever, I'll always be back at the dawn or whatever. And at the end of the game or whatever with Jill or whatever, she looks out at dawn or whatever. And it's supposed to signify that he probably does come back. Medea disappearing is that throughout the entire game, Jill also talks about how, if he's not going to pray to Medea or whatever, she's going to do it for him, all right? The last moment that we see of Clive, he's looking up at the star, all right?
You are forgetting the other lore behind Metia.
What's the other lore?
Metia is the attendant to the moon, to the god.
Yeah.
This was showing Clive had served his purpose and saved his master. He was his first shield, and now he is dead. That's why the star goes out. The dawn serves the same purpose as in 15. The world goes on, saved from the blight.
I know, but I'm taking it at the actual word value that the game gives you. All right.
So am I.
Yeah, but like, okay, so
you're taking it from like the optimistic, he doesn't die, I want the happy ending approach to the
no,
interpretation.
no. I don't believe this is
going
no.
Off
I don't.
This isn't his thoughts.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't believe in the. I don't believe this interpretation. I believe in the the literal interpretation that they give us in the game or whatever.
Okay.
I'm saying that if you can look at, because I say they left it ambiguous because I can understand the other side, because the other side actually is very compelling. All right, throughout the entire game. Compelling. Yeah, the other side, the throughout the entire game, Jill does say you need to pray to Medea or whatever for your safety, but if you don't, I will. In the final moments, Clive probably does or whatever, and in that moment, the reason why Medea goes out is because it actually delivers that fucking wish, and he comes home or whatever, and yeah, and then that's how I see it or whatever, or that's how I can see that it's also like could be.
Yeah, it's super pretty, and
I
fucking cope.
I want to say this. Yeah. I deeply respect whoever's like, came up with that idea and that interpretation. It's copium as hell.
But I'm just saying, all right, because the game also does give you that to actually ponder upon, because the game does end with the fucking storybook ending, all right? With there's a book called fucking Final Fantasy, all right? But that is written by Joshua or whatever. But all right, you also have to look at the other extraneous things that the game gives you or whatever. In the beginning of the game, Clive is narrating or whatever, like he's like narrating a book, all right? And the very last lines of the game is, and thus does our journey end, all right? Which is probably the very last lines of the book, all right? And Clive would be the type of person to write a book in his brother's name.
Sure, but even using that, Joshua was the writer. Clive is not. That book is a book, presumably a well-written book. Clive's not writing a fucking book.
You don't know that.
Neither do you. Like, I feel like
I know. That's why I'm saying it is ambiguous. We don't know if he actually dies.
I don't think it is. I think that using your thoughts,
nobody, no death. Nobody, no death. Or whatever. If they don't specifically actually show you, if they do not specifically
the game,
it does not. It does not.
Let me finish. The game gives us an answer. You were choosing to say the answer they gave us is not what they said because it could be this. I'm saying, realistically, I have no reason to believe that using all the information the game gives us is the wrong idea.
I'm saying it's ambiguous, as in you can't take what the game
exactly.
Game
You're saying that the game is giving me an answer, but I shouldn't believe it.
I'm saying that they left it ambiguous for people to make up their own endings.
Oh, I mean, they're definitely going to say that, but
yeah, I'm saying that I hate this ending because they did it that way.
I desperately need to Koji just to come out and say, no, he's fucking dead.
Yeah, I need an answer. That's what I'm saying. Because
I am desperate. Koji, I know you're not listening, but if you are, just come out and say there's nothing ambiguous about this. We gave you the answers. You're choosing not to listen to them.
But but they also but it's only because they gave us other answers in the game.
What do you mean by that?
Literally what I just fucking explained. They give you other answers that you can make your own ending in this game. You can't
if you super stretch. At no point should we ever think
it's not super stretching.
That Clive is an author.
Oh my god!
It is way easier to believe that he saved Joshua like he did in the cutscene, and that Joshua wrote the story.
Yeah, but you could
There's no reason to believe Clive did.
Also, Harpocrates still exists. He could have asked Harpocrates to help.
You understand how big of a fucking leap in logic this is, right? When the answer is just Joshua didn't die and he wrote a fucking book, just like Harpocrates said he should.
Okay, well then Joshua could have not died or whatever, but Clive also could have survived.
Okay, that is a stretch that I'm willing to go with, but I think at the end of the day, it's still I don't see the reason to go. I desperately want a happy ending, and even I'm sitting here thinking there's no reason to cope this hard. There's no reason to cope.
No, but the issue is because they set the game up as if Clive is narrating it. And if it's a fucking book...
I think you're reading way too hard into this.
I think that just means it's narrated, it's from his perspective, and it's his brother's idea of what happened. You get what I'm saying?
But it's not, it wouldn't be his brother's idea of what happened, it would be his brother's actual, thoughts of what happened, or whatever, because his brother lived it.
I got nothing for you. I think this is cope to.
I think the ending can be interpreted however you want, but personally, I do 100% feel Clive is fucking dead. Joshua writes a book. Magic is gone.
I also feel that way. That's the ending that I think is real, or whatever. But I'm saying that the game is open. It is open up for that interpretation, whatever. And I would not be surprised if they came out and said Clive is actually alive.
Clive being alive, I could take, but I don't think Joshua not being alive makes any sense.
All right, well, that's what I'm saying. Joshua could be alive. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that Joshua being alive is more believable than Clive being alive, but I also think that Clive could be alive.
My thing is, I think if Clive lived, they would have just shown it and given us the happy ending.
Yeah,
with no
absolutely.
Question. That's where I think that
this is my point. There is no reason for us to assume he's dead and then make it ambiguous that he's alive, because nothing after that
matters.
How many times did they do this in 14 though?
It's not 14.
14 is a continuing game. This game is done.
Over.
That's not what Yoshi P said.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. This is my point. DLC should not be the end of your game. This is why 15 is bad.
I know.
They have told a complete story. Story is done.
I genuinely feel that
13 was also a complete story.
Yes. Yeah. Until they
retconned it. Exactly.
In a different game.
What I'm saying is, and I will stand by this, and I mean this sincerely, I do not care if they add DLC to this game. If they add DLC that adds on to after the fucking post-credit shit, it is stupid.
It would be so fucking weird.
Because the way this game is set up, ambiguous or not, the ending is concrete and done.
I don't think it would be after post. I don't think it would be after post credit. It'd be pre-credit post game.
I do not know where they're putting DLC that isn't just the Already Stone.
I don't know.
I don't think we get story DLC on this. I think it's all going to be like fantasy fights in the Already Stone.
I think it depends on how well the game sells.
Oh, well, it's sold pretty fucking well for a Final Fantasy title.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I could see them adding on a whole nother fucking minor story DLC. I could even see them DLCing in Leviathan. I'm not joking. And just making it almost like a side quest at some point in the game that you can go do to just get some new abilities. I could see them doing DLCing and new abilities. I think the market for what they could do with this game is incredibly high, because as a base game, its potential is fucking insane.
Leviathan's going to be DLC, man.
It would not surprise me.
I mean, they set up for it.
Anyway, I understand you guys like the ending or whatever, think the
No.
ending's okay or whatever.
I personally
Okay,
like
that
it.
is
hated
true.
it.
I think it's
hated it.
okay. I do not like it though.
I hated it. It's
Okay.
actually what dropped. It's actually what dropped my score from 8 to 7.5.
It actually boosted my score, unironically.
Oh, that's weird.
I actually like
both
the fact
fucking
it's
weird.
a solid just ending. No weird shit, no setting up for fucking more game. It's the end.
No, I'm happy that it was a complete story. I didn't like the contents of it.
Maybe we all went into this game with different preconceptions. From moment zero, I actually never thought this was going to be a happy game. And the little
No.
bits of like fun we had,
God,
I
no.
enjoyed.
Yeah, no. This game was
Like,
shown
I
pretty much at
expected
all
this
points
ending
to be
from-
Game of Thrones.
No, I
Yeah,
really
no,
expect this ending from like moment zero.
No, I knew this game wasn't going to be happy going through it or whatever. I didn't think it was going to end like this.
I agree. I assumed they wouldn't continue to be Doctor.
Hold on, I want to ask a question here because this is something that I think I might also be reading more into. How many lead characters actually live at the end of their fucking games in Final Fantasy?
No, more than I let on. Recently, and recent is pretty long time, but recently they've decided to start killing them off because the Warriors of Light should be fine. Firion lives. I don't know. I don't even remember anything in 3. I think they live. Everyone in 4 lives. Everyone in 4 lives.
I don't know. Never played 4.
I think there is a death in 4.
I think
don't
there's
remember who.
there's definitely a death in 4.
I don't
I don't
remember
think
who
it's
it
the end.
is. 5 Galuf and crew in the older group. The lead doesn't die.
No, 6 nothing bad happens.
Nothing happens. Despite Celis's best fucking effort.
Mm-hmm.
7 Cloud has to go through a lot of like mental anguish, but he lives.
Everybody lives at the end of that game.
Not
everybody, but the death happens so early on that
Yes.
it's
No, I'm at the end of the game or whatever. That's
nobody dies at the end.
Past Aerith dying, nobody dies.
Spoilers.
No one dies in 8, but I guess there's a time loop for the villain, so even the villain doesn't die in 8.
8's very weird, and
It's very weird.
8's very weird.
Oh no, I take it back. I'm gonna be a smartass. Rain died in 8, and that made me sad.
Yeah.
9. Fucking Matt pointed out to me that Kuja may not even have fucking died. So yeah, no one died in 9. 10, Titus was never alive to begin with, so this is my cop-out answer.
That's copium. That's copium.
That's my cop-out answer. But yeah, so 10, 11 is an MMO, and a lot of people die.
A lot of people die.
12, no one dies because of the very end. We find out that Balthier and Fran get out scot-free. 13, originally no one died, but Lightning was taken and turned to
in the overall story. In the overall story, nobody dies. They all get reincarnated. Into
That's true.
world.
Yeah, by 13.3, it doesn't matter because it undoes everything else. You're right.
Yeah.
14 is a fucking MMO. I'm not getting into it. A lot of people.
I mean, technically, everybody dies at the end of 14.
And then no one does.
Exactly.
Yep. And 15, Noct and Luna die. And
No,
honestly, I don't want to count Luna.
Even the boys die.
They don't. I keep telling you this.
No, they all die at the end of the game.
No,
all
they
of them.
do not.
All of them die at the end of the game.
Nope. We're stopping that conversation.
Anyways,
right, so
point
I'm
is,
in the wrong.
yeah. There's
all right, so they did something different than killed him off. Even better. Fucking original. Good job, you. Good job. Truly innovative.
Yeah, 15 and Type 0 are the ones who are like definitively dead. Dead.
Well, everybody in Type 0 dies.
Everyone. So. Wait, does Rem and Machina die? No, they survive, but the actual class themselves, they all fucking die.
Okay, but all right. I'm just saying I wasn't ready for it to be happy. I guess a lot more people fucking live in these games than what I thought.
Yeah, no, like death is like a recent trend because I think in response to people going like it's always a happy ending. We're never worried about the main character. So
I mean, I wouldn't say a lot of those Final Fantasies have happy endings. They have like endings where you win, but they're not necessarily fucking happy.
Which endings aren't like 10's not a happy
10
ending?
is not happy. I wouldn't say 8's happy.
8
I sure as hell wouldn't say 7's happy.
Whoa, back up. Why isn't 8 a happy ending?
Time loop.
For the villainess,
Yeah, which means everything keeps playing out infinitely in a horrible loop of pain.
for her, everyone
Ye-
else's lives continue.
Yeah, but I mean,
Squall and crew are not in a time loop. They have a happy ending where him and Renoa go on to be fucking
sucked
miserable
into
because
Kingdom Hearts.
because they get to be fuck. Kingdom Hearts means that succeeds. I don't see those two actually lasting. God, that's unhealthy. But yeah, like that's fine. Like no, the endings are by and large happy. A lot of the worst things happen during the second act and then are all rectified.
Okay, but
I will give you 10 though. Like I think that's a happy ending, but mostly just because fucking Seymour didn't win. But you're right, that is fucking miserable.
I don't think 7 really has a happy ending either. Like
No,
they all
it
get to
is
go
a
on with their
win.
lives, but the world is still a shitty fucking place.
Yeah, Advent
Mhm.
Like
Children guarantees that that's not a happy ending because of the nonsensical geostigma. But sure, yeah, but you're right. No, that's not a happy ending. That is a we won for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think all of them have incredibly happy endings. But at the same time, yeah, I get that the characters aren't necessarily at risk of death. With that said, I think it's fine. I think that
Um,
it might just be that nowadays it's way more common to see the hero just fucking die in other
Yeah.
media.
We'll have to move on.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
important question, simple
mhm.
question. What do we want out of the next Final Fantasy?
Not this actually.
Okay.
Because I'm just going to skip to like what that question actually means. Not this. I don't think this should actually be the future going forward, and I think we see
Yeah.
that in the fact that there is such division. Even if it's only like 30-70, and 70 is like saying this could be the future, I don't think that. I think because there is a noticeable vocal outcry, this probably needs adjustments. And I think the biggest adjustment, if this is the only thing they change, it has shown that party matters.
Yeah.
I
Party
didn't give a
matters
shit.
100%.
I thought this was fine. I thought everyone had their place and they did what they need to. I am not in the majority.
Nope.
People want a party.
Yep, because that's one of the big things I want. I wish I had options to choose who I take and I could play around the ideas. And that leads into what I want out of the next one. I want it to just be an RPG again. I don't care if it has the shitty action combat that they keep trying to push in their other games. Because I
Oh
think
yes, also that. I don't I the RPGs
I
the
don't
RPG stuff
want
in
it to
this game
have.
was ridiculous.
Okay, I'll level with everyone here. All right. I think Final Fantasy should be turn-based. Should be turn-based. And I'll say that till I die. I think the turn-based genre is not bad and people are just fucking stupid
I don't
for saying
think
that they
so.
hate
No,
it.
no, hold on. I don't actually think it's a popular take that turn based is bad. I think that, like a lot of executive takes, this is a Square Enix problem. I think
Mhm.
they have decided that this is old
I
and
don't know, because
outdated.
I hear a lot of people that do not like turn-based.
Sure, but I don't think that those people were playing the games to begin with.
That's
So it doesn't
probably
matter.
true.
So it doesn't
So,
matter, right?
so yeah, but honestly, I want that. I do not ever want the 7 remake style of combat. I actually think it's bad. I do
Oh,
not like the Kingdom Hearts style of combat either. For Final Fantasy, at least, I don't think it's good. I think Final
mm,
Fantasy needs to be an interesting RPG. I actually like the system that they have here, and if it had RPG elements, I probably wouldn't care. But without any kind of like RPG elements, stats,
I'm just
elemental
surprised that
affinities,
you don't dig 7 then.
I don't think it's
Because that does everything you
7.
want.
No, because 7 is stuck between being an RPG and being an action game, and it doesn't lean into either one of them particularly well, in my opinion.
I
Because
think
it's
that's
too,
probably fair, yeah.
I think it's not fast enough to be an action game. You don't get a lot of agency over what your character's actually doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Or you're in an RPG setting where for some reason you can just walk around and that's it. Like you're
But
just
why
walking
is
around the
that
battlefield.
bad?
Because what do you do with the movement in that game? You're just dodging shit while making inputs like you're playing a real RPG.
Again, why is that bad?
Because you're taking two systems that don't are I feel want to fight each other. Because in an RPG, you're playing like a game of chess where you're trying to figure out the correct moves to make in order to win a match, right? I think that's a good way of saying like earlier Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, and before that, you're trying to learn how to use gameplay mechanics to give you advantage to win the next battle in order to like progress. Okay, you're
Sure.
trying to understand systems. That's
Oh,
why
I
I
should.
think
By the way, I should note that I agree with you.
yeah,
10 is peak. I just
yeah,
want you to explain why this is
okay.
bad.
And in an action game, even an action RPG like Kingdom Hearts, you're trying to figure out how you can, because you can do it slower, but that's not what most people do. You're trying to figure out how you can eke out as much damage as you can while going through like these very grandiose spectacles of like dodging things and fighting and using abilities to stay in the fight and dealing as much damage and continuing like even like small problem solving things. A good example is the secret fights in Kingdom Hearts 1 where you have to like use magic, like specific magic to stop the Heartless at the clock tower to like make
Yeah.
him vulnerable.
Mhm.
Or the one in the sand where you have to like what do you have to do to him again? Because I know it's something weird to make him stop
Uh,
fighting for a
I
second.
I can't remember.
You know
Been.
you have to like problem solve in order to like fight these
Mhm.
things.
Yeah.
And that's what makes like action games interesting because you're problem solving really quickly and using like the skills and things you have in an interesting way while trying to, like chain things going on. It's what makes Devil May Cry so fun because you're chaining things together and you're using what you know about how enemies interact or like a move you might open up by doing something to keep the flow of the battle going really fast. Okay. I think that even plays in like original Kingdom Hearts because you're trying to like get through these battles and they're very well paced and you're using things that you know in order to keep the flow going versus a slower paced RPG where you're trying to plan out 10 moves ahead how you're going to deal with the next big attack that's going to one shot your healer. Okay. And I
Mhm.
think trying to combine moving around, jumping around, dodging shit while you're trying to play chess with your other hand is fucking dumb. Lean into one or the other. Playing
Okay.
chess on a skateboard is not entertaining to me.
So I will say that again. I agree. I think that it has been pretty outright proven that when people think of Final Fantasy, they do think of a turn-based game.
Yeah. And I'm okay
And
with active time battle stuff too, just
sure,
to
sure,
throw that
sure.
out there.
Yeah. Like
I
you and
think
me
it's
seem to prefer the conditional turn-based, but ATB has been a staple since like fucking 5 or 6, I
7.
think. Um, I think it was before that, honestly.
Oh yeah,
But
probably.
uh, but I mean, what I'll say is I think 7 is fine. And maybe I only think that because base 7 exists, but
I
also I think it's fine.
okay,
I think
I'm not judging 7 off it being a remake. I know a lot of people do because like, oh my god, the original one was better. I'm judging it based off of I don't find it mechanically fun to play when I sit down to try it.
sure.
That
But
is my whole
my,
thing.
my
Because I'm
actual
not
blowback,
judging it against original 7 at all. In fact, I'm trying to separate the two in my mind.
I get that.
And I genuinely, if I were to sit down and play that, I would not have fun.
I am
I
trying to
think I think if they were going to do this, the 13-3, the Lightning Returns combat would have been a perfect fit for it. Because it gives you that still like it's a more actiony game, but you're not playing like Devil May Cry where you're bullet hell jumping around and dodging shit while you're just trying to play an RPG. It still gives you that freedom of movement and choice, and you get a little bit more freedom. But it's not like, man, I've got to go run up and jump on this thing, get behind this box to dodge a laser and all that other shit. Because that's not what I think I want to be doing when I'm playing an RPG. That's what I want to do when I'm playing an
I
action
will
game.
have to look this up, but I do not think this is a problem for a lot of people.
It probably isn't. It's just personally me. I don't like that.
Okay.
Mm.
Like maybe other people do. I could be the minority here. I personally just fucking dislike it.
For
If
sure.
they want to keep for the action for Final Fantasy games, I'm okay with that. But I
Okay.
think I think they should look towards other action RPGs and probably take a bit from them.
Yeah.
When I play an action RPG, I always look towards like what is Tales doing? What is Star Ocean doing?
Yeah, I think
Um
that's fair.
Honestly,
um
I think if they want to keep this, and both of you are gonna fucking hate me for this, I think you can just look at Kingdom Hearts. Like, don't like
I
divorce
mean,
yourself, divorce yourself from the story, and ground and I mean this physically, ground the combat.
no,
And I think you have weapons that matter because
yeah,
there it's not just a stat stick element and magic goes into it.
mhm.
yeah,
You have bloody the ability for well again elements matter, stats would matter maybe a bit less than a traditional Final Fantasy game, but they would still matter more. and you could continue to have that party, though you can't play as them. I just think if you switch, if you have like a swap button, you're fine.
That's why I say
Yeah,
Tails.
Yes,
honestly,
sorry, yes,
yeah.
Tails.
Honestly,
The problem is like I'm assuming that they want to keep the action as a base. Like my first thought was just get rid of it. But if they want to keep the action as base, you don't go to Tails. I think Tails falls into the same thing that Zeke was just saying. It's not actually an action game. It's too slow, and you can't get that same.
It's way more. It falls way more into playing more like an RPG.
Yeah,
for the most part.
I don't
But
think Arise and 16 are comparable. I'll put
but
that in
with that
perspective.
said, if they're going to stick with the action stuff, which I don't actually think is even the wrong play, it's not exactly like my first want. But if they were to stick with the action stuff, add in the RPG elements, add in gear matters, add in elemental affinity, and instead of absorbing fucking the souls of demigods, make it a job system. Like instead of like jumping between Garuda, Titan, and Ifrit, Dark Knight, Warrior, or Paladin. There you go.
Oh, sure.
Like they could just make it more interesting, and then just separate the magic system out.
We had that actually.
Are you saying
Called-
13.3?
No, it's called Strangers of Paradise.
Oh, I didn't actually play it. Fair enough.
Yeah, but Stranger of Paradise did not play as well in terms of like mechanics.
I mean,
didn't enjoy playing that game. I liked parrying in that game, but I didn't like. There's the reason I didn't pick it up is because I did not like the way the game.
No, what I'm saying is, I think if you were to just take the system and like what's here, like the exact gameplay.
Yeah, and
it would,
added in the RPG elements. This game would have been a hell of a lot more interesting to play.
For sure.
Yeah, because like I don't think the systems in Stranger of Paradise are bad. By the way, it's just not the game I want to play.
Yeah,
no,
mechanically,
it's a Neo game.
Interesting.
It's a Neo
exactly,
game.
Exactly.
It's fine. It's fine for what it is, but it's not there. This game is leaps and bounds mechanically more interesting.
Yeah.
And if they were to just flesh it out more, if they take this as a base and just run with it, I'm okay with the next Final Fantasy being like that, but better. But I would personally like to just go back to it being just a fucking RPG.
Yeah.
With no bullshit.
I would like them to chill with the subplots in Final Fantasy games. I would like to have a focused story. I guess that's never really been the case, though. I don't know. I just like the whole levels of detail in this game was like fucking ridiculous. I think they forewent a solid story to tell to okay stories.
Yeah.
And this just goes back to what I was saying earlier about just let the mother crystals be the idea, and don't worry with the whole Ultima secondary stuff. Just tie him in directly to the crystals. And honestly, I think stakes get too high. I think that's mostly just what it was. Like making Ultima a god and going into all this stuff that doesn't actually end up mattering. Like, what does Ultima being a god end up doing for anyone that isn't Clive being angry?
Literally nothing, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just fluff.
And the idea that you had Aqua was great. Just have him be like the final crystal boss. Like I think they just need to pare back a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I've been thinking that for a long time.
What they need to do is they need to do another 9.
Actually, yes, almost exactly.
Go back to what?
Go back to your roots. Like, if you want to know what makes a Final Fantasy game good, the answer is 9. The answer is 10. The answer is every numbered one before 11. Actually,
So I think it's time for another trek back to we want to dissect Final Fantasy and figure out what it is we want from it again. Because I think they've sold well, but I think they've like just strayed, and now they're not. And now both the developers and the player base are no longer sure of what we actually want, and it's why no one can really define a Final Fantasy.
Yeah. So, in all of this talk, has any of our numbers changed?
No.
Okay.
E
even with different perspectives and everything, I think the game sits as simply as a 7 to me. Is I think it's good. I didn't waste my money on it. I would not tell anyone to go out and buy it immediately, and I wouldn't say like, oh, if you should go buy a PS5 to play it.
Yeah,
It's that
no.
simple.
This is a B
Yeah.
plus game for me, and the reason why I don't give a 7 is because 7 makes me think it's a C. No, it's a B plus game.
Yeah,
And
I say if you're a Final Fantasy fan, play it.
absolutely.
Yeah. If you have
I
access to be able to play it, you can if you're interested. If you're
Yeah.
interested, you will probably like it.
yeah, if you like action games, you'll like the game. You'll at least like the gameplay of this game. If you're a 14 fan, I mean, you're honestly gonna like this game. Period. Because this game honestly feels exactly like playing Final Fantasy 14, but in a single player action game.
This is one of those games, not to cut you off, but then one of those games that I feel like if I actually say to the wrong person, I gave it a 7, they'd probably fucking kick me from the party in 14 and blacklist me.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Like,
For
without
sure.
question.
For sure. Yeah.
I think if they hear anything lower than a 9, they'll get really angry.
Yeah.
From the highs to the lows of this game, it felt exactly like how honestly it felt like a 14 expansion is what it felt like.
Yeah, and like we said this before, this does feel like a single player 14 experience, and that means all the goods and the bads.
All bads, yeah. So
which makes sense why one of our biggest like things that we all agree on is pacing is absolute fucking garbage after the established bits.
Like, so the pacing of a 14 expansion is okay because it's an MMO or whatever. It's supposed to kind of actually be like that. You're pacing it out among the amount of levels that it requires you to go up or whatever. In this type of game, it doesn't really work very well because you never
feel like you're becoming stronger if I'm gonna level with you, other than getting new abilities, because the level means nothing.
Correct.
Yeah. Stats mean nothing in this game.
I said this before. I feel like I could beat this game minimal leveling up with the base weapon and Phoenix.
Yeah. I also feel that way.
I may struggle. I'll definitely struggle more than I do now because what I can do now is insane. But I mean, I can absolutely do it.
I feel like you're just gonna stretch the fights out, and it's not gonna be
just
harder.
gonna be longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just gonna be longer.
So like it's mainly because the side quest segments are so long or whatever, and it's exacerbated even more because the highs of this game are so fucking massive. It is like you said,
and valleys.
to the
like
to the
crashing
sun
into the sun in the core of the earth levels of low.
Yeah. So if it wasn't for the fact that the valleys were so low, I probably would have like pushed it up to an 8 or whatever. But there were times where I was pressing the X button on some of those side quests, like fucking dialogues. I was like, come on. Get me through this.
That's something else, and it's definitely a 14 thing, and I fucking hate it. RPGs have done it for years. The animations for characters interacting with each other, like the main story or things going on, is so good. The cutscenes are beautiful. When you go up to talk to Joe Schmo NPC, it literally looks like two Sims talking with each other. Like there's no expression or anything.
Yeah.
It's so fucking bad.
I genuinely would give up every single. Well, I give up 2/3 of the side content if the 1/3 left behind was of a higher quality.
Yeah.
Not FMV, but just a higher, like more unique movements, more contextually appropriate motions. Yes.
It's the Yakuza argument.
This is exactly how it's been explained every time. I agree.
Yep. I don't give a fuck if the world's 2,000 meters fucking billion wide. If it's the biggest game ever made. I don't care if it's Skyrim times 7, Starfield, what the fuck ever. If you give me a 4x3 grid with some actual interesting shit on it, it's just better. And that's how I feel about the game. Like, in terms of, like, side quests. They fluffed out so much shit, and they gave all the good detail. They tried. It would have just been better if it was 12 side quests and each one was really just well done. And I don't think there's any way to argue against that. Because I don't think anyone's going to sit here going, I can't wait to get to that side quest again. I really enjoyed it the first time I did it.
Yeah, so we literally talked the entirety of the story, and we're gonna have to wrap up like this actually really soon. But we're all in agreement that the gameplay, the combat for this game is absolutely amazing. Like Ryota Suzuki actually made a really good fucking feeling game.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
without question.
Okay. All right. The last segment we have to talk about this. All right. And I don't want it to go on very long or whatever.
Oh God.
But I feel really bad if we didn't talk about music.
Oh.
'Cause-
Oh yeah, because you don't have the same feelings, unfortunately, we do. So this isn't a given. Yeah, go on. Why don't you lead us off here?
Yeah.
You two, I'm going to be crucified in the street. I don't actually think this game's music is that good. I'm going to hit you with this. All right. I don't know. What do you think is the best composed piece of music in a Final Fantasy game? Just both of you. Just hit me with it. I want
Best
battle
composed
theme.
piece?
I want battle theme and your favorite fucking song of a Final
Battle theme
Fantasy.
and-
Maybe I'm a lion.
I also want to know the games they came from.
Well, 8.
Okay.
For a battle theme. And Xanarkin for a main theme.
Okay.
Okay.
John?
Battle theme is 7's battle theme. I forget what it's called. Fuck, what is it?
You don't have to give me a name.
Yeah,
It's fine.
yeah.
7's battle theme is good enough.
Yeah, 7's battle theme.
I take it back. Oh, I'm sorry. Man with a machine gun. 8. Sorry. Ooh, wholesale fucking left my brain.
Okay.
Fuck. Honestly, I might have to say Xanarkin. Yeah, as a main. As
Okay.
the main theme.
Because okay. This is gonna play into what I want. The point I want to make. Okay. Because I know you two really love this game's music and score and everything. I don't think there's a single piece of music in this game that is as interesting or as iconic as To Xanarkin, even as a remote stretch.
So
And I
this
know
is
that's an insane bar to hold a game up to because I think To Xanarkin is actually like one of the best composed pieces of music of like 2000 onward wholesale.
no. I'll agree, but there's a reason for this. And it's a lot of this music does rely on pre-established music, but even the ones that don't are often just there for ambience. And I found that I've been saying this for fucking years. A lot of those memorable melodies, like that were designed to get stuck in your head, do not exist anymore because music is not there to stand on its own. It's there to serve the context of the scene. So it's just there. It's essentially there for ambience. It's to be good. For
But
sure.
I'm also going to say this. I think that every other Final Fantasy's battle music is also more interesting.
I don't know. I actually really like the battle music in fucking 16. Like
Then why didn't you name it as your favorite?
I didn't say it was
it's not
my
his
favorite.
favorite.
Because it's not my favorite. You asked me for my favorite.
Yeah.
If you asked me for my top 5 or whatever, the battle theme for 16 will probably in my top 5.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think this is ever going to be anyone's favorite.
No, and I agree.
I
but
think it is
no.
really. I think that the music is good,
no,
but I
again,
don't think it is exceptional to me.
This is my point. Music in games now is going the way that it did in movies. It's not meant to stand on its own. It is there to serve the purpose of the context. All the music in this needed to do was be high tempoed. I think he went above and beyond that. Like I think like the real question is, do you remember what it sounds like? And I absolutely do.
I don't, but I wasn't listening for the music. And this is interesting because I'm going to give you a different example. In 14, I turn music off 99% of the time. But there are songs in 14 I still do enjoy wholeheartedly. I did not get that out of this game. I genuinely think this is
then.
I think this is genuinely, in my opinion, the weakest Final Fantasy soundtrack I've played.
Ooh. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know, because I like Blinded by Light and Sunlit Waterscape and like nothing else from 13.
I didn't play
But
13.
the issue with 13 is that
played.
13 the issue with 13 is that 13.2 exists, and I think 13.2 is one of the top 5 best Final Fantasy soundtracks.
Also, again, I like Vaults de Fantastica, and I couldn't name another piece from 15. I'm sure there was the others, and this is just my memory coming into
I didn't play 15 either. I'm going off what I've played. And personally,
Somnus is the best theme from fucking 15.
Oh yeah, the Somnus fight at the end especially is very good. I do like Vaults de Fantastica the most though.
don't like. So I'm not saying that I think this game is bad soundtrack. By the way, I'm saying I think Final Fantasy has set the bar autistically high for what I want out of the music from it.
No,
And I think the argument that music has changed, but I think that is the wrong direction to go in for Final Fantasy.
I agree with you. I've bitched more about this. I will also say what I think you won't say. I
Okay.
don't think you like Soken, and I think that is fine.
No, because I like parts of 14. I like
Yeah.
fucking music in 14, like an insane amount. There are some things in 14 I genuinely turn the music back on if I get into the instance where it's at.
All right, fair
So
enough.
I know he can make things that I really enjoy, and I feel that it didn't hit home here.
Oh man, yeah, I didn't get that. I fucking love Hideaway. I love
Because there
the
are
second version of the Hideaway theme that you get when it's now Clive's. I forget the name of it though. I like the recurring motifs because every area has a motif, and that motif is used in a happy way and in a sad way. I thought it was grand.
it just did not grab me.
I mean, which is fair enough, right?
Yeah.
Especially,
I don't think
when
the
we're
music is
comparing
ever
it against like 8 and 10, which you and I at least are heavily biased
eight.
towards.
I genuinely think that out of my mind, I hear tracks in other Final Fantasy. I'm like, oh, I fucking really like that. I really appreciate that. I think that was really good. And I can say that about a lot of them because there's normally like one piece of music that stands out insanely
For
well.
sure, for sure.
Even like even Seven's battle music is like, god damn, you know it when you hear it instantly.
Not even 7. I think 7's is probably even with Tizanakin. I think the 7 battle theme
Seven's
might be
super close because
it
again,
might be
even one
the
winged
most
angel.
iconic. No,
Seven
just
produced some
either the bomb and
insane
run.
bangers.
Yeah, like that might be one of the most iconic things. And
And
let me
I
tell
don't-
you, for a long time, I was sick unto death of fucking hearing it.
Fair enough.
I'm happy I am finished with that
Yeah.
phase now.
With that said, I don't feel like in another 5 or even 10 years, people are gonna come back to this game saying, man, that was my favorite piece of like combat music or whatever. I think the music is serviceable, but doesn't go above and beyond what music could have been in this game. And that may have been an actual creative decision to do that, but I think it hinders the experience.
No, because I don't think the creative vision is to not inspire remembrance. I think you're just wrong, and I think it's because the game is too new. Because I have said this about other games in the past and been wrong.
I mean, I'll let it play out and I'll see. But to me, I think that the music could have been presented in a more interesting way. I'm not going to say better, but to me, I think the music could have been more.
Sure, I mean, like, and I'll like, it's what I keep saying about modern music in general. I wish modern music had stronger melodies.
No,
I want more music. I want more themes for everything that I can hum just in general. Because when you make contextual music, you don't usually get that. It's very ambient and very atmospheric, but there's nothing to latch on to like hum out in the world. I will fucking hum to Xanarkin all the fucking
Yep.
time. That lives in my head.
It's strange because I think that 14 does do that, and I think that this was an actual creative decision to not have it go above and beyond. Because I think in video games, it's a really bad decision to not push that limit. Because some of the best games I can think of have music that it really should only exist inside that video game, but it's some of the most memorable shit you will ever experience.
I don't
Like,
see.
how many times have you ever started like climbing up a ladder? You've seen someone on a ladder and you
Snake
just
Eater.
started thinking
Yeah.
Snake Eater.
Snake Eater, yeah.
Like, that's what you need.
I don't know,
That's
because like,
what
because even after I've completed like 16 and I haven't like really turned it on to play or whatever, I'm still thinking about the battle theme or whatever. I'm still thinking about Find the Flame. I'm still thinking about the Ifrit versus Phoenix fucking music, or
I actually think my favorite piece of music was probably during the Garuda fight. But like
and the Garuda music is actually really good because it's actually using a lot of motifs from Garuda from 14.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think it's bad. I just wish that it was. Maybe that's just what I want out of Final Fantasy. I want everything to be artistically bombastic. Honestly, no, I'm being serious. I want the story that sits you down and says, "Listen up, you're going to understand the fucking backstory of this character, and you're going to like it." Maybe I want them to just sit there and pull up an orchestra to my face and just start blasting me with bangers.
I do feel like 14 has actually kind of ruined us when it comes to music or whatever.
Nope.
No.
8 and 10 did that for me a long time ago.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
honestly.
But I mean for like I mean for like for like I guess more modern examples of it or whatever. I think what Soken does with the music in 14 or whatever is just so outlandishly amazing or whatever that when he has to create music for like very specific like soundtrack or whatever, it might not translate the same way that the 14 music does.
No, that's
Whatever.
probably what it is. Because as I said, I think Final Fantasy as a whole has just set the goddamn bar so fucking high. Like, even if you place there, it's still good. It's just, to me at least, it's gonna feel bad if it doesn't like push the bar higher.
I'll tell you what, I'm really interested to hear where this game ends up in a couple of years, because 15 went through a really weird cycle of I do not like this game, and I never left that. But a lot of people have been like, you know what, it's really not that bad, and I wondered if was it just the DLC or did people just need time to soften up? So people's opinions tend to change over time. I'm interested to see if that's true here.
It's weird because I would
Possibly.
be really interested to see, because my opinions on games really don't shift all that much.
Yeah, I still think 15's hot garbage.
Yeah, because I have no interest still in the only ones the only one I've shifted on is 12. And that's only slightly because I can appreciate what they tried to do more.
I mean, I
still hate
shifted on
Vaughn.
12, but I was like,
I still hate
what,
Vaughn and everything, but
14 when I
like,
played it?
yeah. But that's strange because I was also like, 13, 14 when I played 10, and my opinions never changed on 10.
That's true. Yeah, that was good from
Same
day
with
one.
8, same with 7, same with 9. They haven't changed at all.
Mm.
Even Dirge of Cerberus, I can look back and be like, it probably wasn't all that good, but you know what? I still really liked it.
Yeah, my opinion shifted on that. It went from this is hot garbage to it's salvageable, but it's still not very good.
Like, mine went from it's very good to like, I enjoyed it when I played it. I'm not gonna shit talk
I
it.
have never been asleep on that game.
No.
Look,
High
I'm
point
a
of that
weirdo.
game, Mary
I'm a
McGlynn's in
weirdo.
it.
But like, 12 is the only game my opinion has shifted on, at least in Final Fantasy. And I
Sure.
don't know if my opinion is going to shift on this one. Because maybe eventually I'll have like an epiphany, like, you know what? Fuck, that song was really good or something. But I don't know if I don't think in like, what year did 10 come out? 2000?
2001.
2000,
Okay.
I think.
Well, in another 21 years, 22 years, maybe we'll be sitting here talking about the 16 remake and how we're excited for it.
Oh god.
The 16 remake.
But I mean, it's only been 23 years and they're remaking 10 at some point, apparently. So,
Well, I mean, look, I'm fine with this because the remaster they did for 10 was fucking abhorrent.
agreed. But with everything said and done, I don't know if this Final Fantasy, I don't think this Final Fantasy will ever go down the books as being bad, but I don't think it'll be like,
It's
I
not
think if
dethroning
this is your
7
favorite,
and
I think
10, yeah.
if this is your favorite, it's probably the first one you ever played.
That's
think that's
possible.
my standing point.
I would be. I think the only other game, the other Final Fantasy game I would expect people to have played that didn't play other Final Fantasy games is 14. So yeah, I think that's a fair take, actually.
Yeah, and that's just where I stand on it in terms of like everything, especially the music and everything. It's like
Sure.
it's more than serviceable. It is good, but it just does not like slam me to the earth like goddamn. Like, because I've already said you can listen to Xanarkand again, like, and again and again and again. It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
This game just does not have that for me, and I was really hoping it would.
Well, we're at 3 hours, so
Fuck yeah.
I told
think
you this was going to happen.
I think I'm executive decisioning this right now. Yeah. So thank you, Zeke, for coming on and speaking of
thanks.
Final Fantasy 16.
Always glad to
with us.
be here. Feel free to bring me back whenever. Not joking.
Yeah. And we got Diablo to talk about at some point in time. I know season 1's been announced, but I don't think they've given us details on season 1 yet.
We're getting seasonal details on the 6th, I believe. And
Okay.
it will drop before the end of this month.
All right. Sweet. Well, if any of you guys actually listen to all 3 hours of this spoiler
Thank
cast,
you.
thank you. Please hit that like and subscribe button. If you didn't, then well, you're not here to hear me listen to hear me say this stuff anyway. But hit that like and subscribe button. Give us comments. Tell us if you hate us or not. We will see you guys. Well, me and Dal will see you guys sometime
Tomorrow.
again this week because we're gonna do a normal episode this week. Zeke, we will get you on to talk about more Diablo at some point in time. So
All right.
well, have a good night, people.
Be good.
Good night.
Before you go, remember to like, comment, and sub to us. Not only does it help out the channel and let us know what you're into, but it also makes you 100% cooler than everybody else. I checked with Aqua. It's definitely true.